Okay, tonight's special board meeting is June 9th, 2021. It is 6:00 p.m. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education Board Special Meeting to order. Board members, as I call your name, please reply present for the public record. Vice President Perry. Vice President Perry. Secretary Green. Treasurer McIntyre.
Present.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McNeil.
Present.
Board Trustee Walker.
Present.
Board Trustee Wright.
Present.
And myself, Carol McIntyre. Board members absent are Vice President Perry and Secretary Green. At this time, the board will hear any comments from the public. The public is reminded that you may raise your hand or submit a comment in the chat section to speak. Also, anyone who sent an email prior to today's meeting will have that read. Members of the public are reminded that the Board of Education, by its bylaws 1370, is not obligated to answer questions, make statements, or comments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such issues will be referred to the superintendent for investigation, study, or recommendation. Public members, Stephen will call your name before you are unmuted to speak. Please restate your name and address before you begin to speak. Stephen, do we have anyone that wishes to address the board?
Good afternoon, board. There are currently no comments or questions at this time.
Okay. The public is reminded that you may submit your comments by email to FBOE@flintschools.org to have them read at the next meeting. Thank you. At this time, I motion and a second to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8H of the Michigan Open Meeting Act to discuss materials exempt from disclosure under state or federal law.
So moved.
Second.
No. Okay, thank you. It has been properly moved and seconded that we meet in closed session. Board members, when I call upon your name, please say yes or no to go into closed session. Vice President Perry is absent. Secretary Green is absent. Treasurer McIntyre.
Yes.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McNeil.
Yes.
Board Trustee Walker.
Yes.
Board Trustee Wright. You muted, Ms. Wright, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And myself, Carol McIntyre. 5 yes to go into closed session, 2 absent. Board members, we are now in closed session. You must close and go to webinar. Go into the private Zoom meeting invite that was emailed to you from Monica. Public members, we will return here after we come out of closed session. I would like to call the special meeting back to order. I was just reading along, guys. I would like to call the special meeting back to order. I will conduct a roll call vote to ensure all board members have returned. Board members, as I call your name, please say present for the record. Vice President Perry.
Present.
Okay, Secretary Green hasn't shown up, has she? Okay, Secretary Green is absent. Treasurer McIntyre.
Present.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McNeil.
Present.
Board Trustee Walker.
Present.
Board Trustee Wright. I think you're muted, Ms. Wright.
Unmute myself. Okay, all right. I'm present. I was muted by the organizer.
Sorry about that. The list got so long I couldn't quickly unmute you. Apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, and myself present. So all members are present except Secretary Green. Board members, I would like to entertain a motion in a second to approve Attorney Erickson's legal opinion or legal advisement as it pertains to the 10-year case?
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we approve. Are we trying to approve this or are we moving? We're approving this now? I'm sorry. Okay, it has been moved. It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve the recommendations for the 10-year case. Are there any questions? No questions from any board members. Seeing none, the motion to approve the settlement for the 10-year case with as suggested by Mr. Erickson will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Okay, I'm back with it. Treasurer McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Vice President Perry,
Yes.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McNeil,
Yes.
Trustee Walker,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Secretary Green again is not present. Motion passes 6 yes. Seeing no further action by the board, I declare the special board meeting adjourned. It is 6:58. Today is June 9th. This special meeting is adjourned. So we don't have to log back out. We're automatically already in our cow.
Yes.
Okay, that's sure. Okay. Flint Board of Education's order of business. The board committee of a whole meeting for June 9th, 2021 is starting up at 6:59. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education's board committee of a whole meeting to order. Board members, as I call your name, please reply present for the public record. Vice President Perry,
Present.
Treasurer McIntyre,
Present.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McNeil,
Present.
Board Trustee Walker,
Present.
Board Trustee Wright,
Present.
and myself, Carol McIntosh, is present. Board members absent, Secretary Green. Board members, we have a very distinguished guest who has joined us this evening. Congressman Dan Kildee has been invited to speak with the board about the COVID funds and the federal dollars coming to the district and his role in schools receiving those funds. Hello, and I'd like to welcome Congressman Kildee.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, first, let me thank you for inviting me to be here. That's actually inviting me to come back. I'm a product of the Flint schools, graduated from Northern High School. And right after that, when I was 18 years old, I began my career in public service as a member of the Flint Board of Education. I'm sure many of you may know that, although I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember it. I won't tell you how long ago it was, but it was a long, long time ago. It was an extension of the commitment that my family has had to public education. My uncle, who served in Congress before me, was a Flint school teacher. My 3 sisters are all teachers. One of them teaching in the Flint schools now, one recently retired. My brother works in Head Start. And so we know how important the work you do is. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am that you're willing to take this public service role in a pretty difficult time. Especially during this pandemic, it's been tough. It's been tough on everyone. It's been tough on our teachers. It's been tough on teachers and staff that have had to make great sacrifices to ensure consistent education across the in-person, remote, hybrid formats, sometimes teaching across formats at the same time. So I commend them for their commitment to their students through these pretty difficult and uncertain times. Our teachers and all of our school staff deserve respect. That includes fair and safe working conditions, labor rights, something that I worked for since I sat in your seats decades, literally many decades ago. So I believe we have to support our public schools and teachers and commit that every child, no matter where they're born, no matter who they are, regardless of their circumstances, get a quality of education. And in fact, under the state constitution, the Michigan state constitution, every child is guaranteed a free public education. Unfortunately, not all students in our state get access to the quality education that they deserve. And that's why I've taken this fight on in Congress, fighting every day for access to early childhood education, for quality before and after school programs, and support for teachers in the classroom. So to the subject that you asked me to address, the American Rescue Plan. Due to this pandemic and the impacts that it has had, health and economic impacts, every school district across our state and across the country have faced some budget constraints, increased costs associated with providing education remotely and safely reopening when it's appropriate to do so. So to prevent cuts for our schools, to teachers and students, we came together in Congress to come up with federal dollars to support state and local education funding. And that's why I helped Congress pass and the president signed into law the American Rescue Plan. So the American Rescue Plan provides K-12 schools with funding to reopen safely and address learning loss. It invests nearly $130 billion, billion with the B, nationally, to get kids back in the classroom and to catch up academically. It's the most significant investment in K-12 in our history. Michigan schools will receive about $3.7 billion, and that includes just over $99 million designated for the Flint community schools, and that's according to the formula as applied against the most recent Michigan Department of Education data. Those funds are allocated via the Title I formula, which is something that we really worked hard to get into this legislation because it directs funds to districts with high proportion of low-income students. It ensures that the students that need it most get the help that they should have. And these funds, they're on their way to Michigan schools. But first, the Michigan state legislature must pass, and the governor has to sign a bill to release the funding that Congress and the president have provided. On May 27, I joined Governor Whitmer for a news conference where she announced the school funding priorities and released her framework on how to utilize the American Rescue Plan dollars. That framework lays out a path forward to make the largest investment in K-12 in our state's history, while simultaneously, and this is really important, closing finally the funding gap between the highest and lowest funded school districts to ensure that every child has the same opportunity to succeed no matter where they live. According to the American Rescue Plan, states have to allocate funding to school districts within 1 year, or the states could end up forfeiting those funds. Michigan students, families cannot wait any longer for the Michigan legislature to act. And the governor has made it clear that she will work with the Republican-led legislature to get these funds out the door to school districts as soon as possible. Once the legislature passes a law to distribute the funding, school districts will have pretty broad authority to spend according to their local needs. Now, districts must use at least 20% of the funds to address learning loss associated with the pandemic. This could include funding summer school, extended day, or after school programs. That's really a determination of the local school district. The rest of the funding may be used broadly for activities, including but not limited to, but activities like providing mental health services, purchasing personal protective equipment to keep staff and students safe, conducting school facility renovations to reduce the risk of virus transmission. The American Rescue Plan provides districts flexibility that they need to use the funds so that they can work with local public health experts, their own communities, to decide what is needed most. And then the school districts will be able to draw the money allocated to them for projects as they are needed. The school districts will need to submit their planned expenditures along with an explanation as to how those expenditures are eligible under the American Rescue Plan to the state for approval to get the funds released. These funds will be provided to districts as close as possible to the date they are needed to pay a contract or another expense. And then, as I'm sure you know, districts will have until September of 2024 to spend those dollars. So as always, I want to make sure that you know my office is a resource to the board, to the school district, as you work together to make your decisions about how you choose to utilize those funds. So whether you have questions about eligible activities or anything else that we can help navigate, please let us know, and we'll work with the administration to get those questions answered. I believe this is a real opportunity, an opportunity to leverage federal dollars as we continue to recover from the pandemic, but do it in a way that makes public education in Flint and everywhere even stronger than it was before the pandemic began. I'm going to keep fighting for more resources for the school districts as we continue to navigate this virtual hybrid in-person instruction during the pandemic. And I'll continue to try to get Michigan the resources it needs so that we all can, as the president says, build back better. This is a real opportunity, and I want to be as much a resource as possible. My job is, the way I see it, is to go to bat to get resources, and especially to try to get resources that are targeted into the communities where the need is greatest. And we were able to succeed with that. And you know, obviously, from the resources that this opportunity provides, that it is targeted, and it's targeted in a way that I hope is going to be part of your work to continue to improve educational opportunities for Flint kids. So with that, I'll stop. You may have some questions. I know you've got a long agenda, so I'm willing to take any questions or comment on anything you'd like me to, but I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate your service. I know it's a tough job because I was there, and it was easier when I was there. You're dealing with bigger challenges than we had to when I was on the board, and I really do appreciate your service. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions or comments.
Congress Kilman, this is Joyce McNeil. How you doing? Can
Good.
you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make a comment for you to take back to DC. We really appreciate these fundings coming to the Flint Community District. And we really want to look good and utilize it in the right way. We appreciate what the president has done. We appreciate what you have done. And I don't even know how much I can say thank you, because it was so much needed and it's so much work to be done. And as a board, I believe that we can work together, and for Biden one day to come back to Flint and see where we was at before we got the funds and see where we're at now. So I really appreciate the good work that you do. And if we can help you, I am more than willing to do my part.
Well, thank you for that. And I spoke to the president a couple of weeks ago. I'll see him again soon, and I will send the invitation to him to come anytime back to Flint.
Thank you.
Congressman, I just had a quick comment. I wanted to echo Trustee McNeil's comment in terms of thanking you and for your fight as it relates to fighting to make sure that we receive the funds. You mentioned in your comment that, and I said this a few board meetings ago, that it's no doubt that every school district has definitely been impacted by COVID. But in my comments, I mentioned that it would be a gross misjudgment to say that all school districts were impacted the same. So that's why I want to commend you for definitely making sure that the funds that came out from DC was distributed with the Title 1A formula. But as you talk about that continued fight, again, you know better than me in terms of urban school districts and the situations that we face. I just encourage you and your colleagues to continue to look at equitable ways and equitable formulas to make sure that you meet school districts where they are as it relates to how we serve our scholars. I just don't believe a one-size-fits-all formula applies to everyone. So just want to encourage you as you continue to go back and continue to fight for us, that you continue to keep that in mind, because again, our challenges that we're dealing with are not the same as other school districts as well.
Well, thank you for that. I think it's an important point. And as you know, it was a fight. It was a real struggle, and we were able to get this enacted with really close votes in both the House and the Senate, the closest possible kind of vote you could see in the Senate. And thankfully, the signature of the president, with President Biden and Vice President Harris, we've got real partners, and I've been very impressed with their willingness to work with us on making sure that we're not just making investments, but as you said, Trustee Walker, we're making investments that are targeted to where the need is greatest. This has been one of the problems with the way I believe the federal role has missed the mark for a long time, operating on the assumption that a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, sometimes our boats got holes in them, and we need to fix those holes. And it's not our fault. It's because of a long disinvestment, a long period of disinvestment in many communities. So I'm with you on that, and I was happy that we were able to succeed. And I hope it's a blueprint for how the federal government can continue to operate to create greater equity of opportunity in this country. And that starts with education.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you as well, Congressman Kildee. This is Laura McIntyre, and certainly appreciate all the work that you do, especially focusing resources and opportunities on Flint. And Trustee Walker is absolutely right that all communities are not impacted the same. And as you very well know, given what you've brought to the community and fought for in the community, we're on year 7 of the water crisis. So we're again disproportionately impacted by yet another crisis, a global pandemic on top of the poisoning that our city is still enduring, and which exacerbates the effects of the pandemic. So appreciate you sticking in the fight. And you know, if you were talking about the federal government kind of dropping the ball a little bit. I really think they've dropped the ball on Flint, and we still need to be made whole, and not just with the global pandemic, but also with the water crisis. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. I agree. It's we have some distance yet to travel. I consider this hopefully only a down payment on what has to be a more significant, sustained commitment to communities such as ours. No question about it.
Congressman Kildee, I want to say thank you as well, but I won't. They've all said such eloquent things, and I agree with everything they've said. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry?
Yes, I was muted. Yes, I also want to say thank you, and thank you for fighting hard for not only this community, but the state of Michigan, because Michigan is in a precarious place right now, and we need all the help we can get from Washington. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I would also like to say thank you so much as well, Congressman Kildee. I do have one question though. I see that President Biden is working on the infrastructure funds, and I've heard public schools mentioned in that mix. I'm wondering, what are you hearing as it pertains to infrastructure, tearing down old buildings and recreating and things of that nature? And if we are granted an opportunity to receive funds like that, do you think that they will be as gracious as they have been? What's the buzz in Washington?
It's a really good question, and we are pushing. I say we, and I don't want to be overly political, but it just so happens to be that Democrats in the House and the Senate are pushing for a broader definition of infrastructure. And you may have been seeing some of the debate recently in Washington, where particularly in the Senate, Senate Republicans are pushing for something that looks more like a conventional transportation infrastructure bill. I think that would be a mistake. So we are pushing for a broader definition that would include school construction, that would include extending broadband into every neighborhood in the country, rural and urban, that would include significant investment in water infrastructure, that even though we've gone through it, are still in it, would tear up and replace every lead pipe in America. When I talked to the president a couple of weeks ago, he grabbed me by the shoulders and he said, Dan, I need your help. I want to get rid of every blanking lead pipe in America. Joe has a way of communicating. So we have a broader definition that we're really pushing hard for. And so I can't answer your question with a lot of confidence because I don't know how the negotiation is going to end. And we've got a really narrow margin in the Senate, but we're pushing for it. We're going to continue to push for it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions from the board? What about the administration? Did any of you guys want to chime in and ask Mr. Kildee anything while we have his ear?
Hi, this is Anita Stewart. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that you have been doing for us. We really do appreciate it. And I have enjoyed the encouraging conversations that I've been able to have with you. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you once again for joining us this evening, Congressman Kildee, and you have a good evening. We know you have important to do, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
All right. At this time, the board will hear any comments from the public. The public is reminded that you may raise your hand to speak. If you have submitted a comment in the chat section, please advise if you wish to speak. Also, anyone who sent an email prior to today's meeting will have it read. Members of the public are reminded that the Board of Education, by its bylaw 1370, are not obligated to answer questions, make statements or comments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such issues will be referred to the superintendent for investigation, study, or recommendation. Public members, Stephen will call your name before you are unmuted to speak. Please restate your name and your address before you begin speaking. Stephen, do we have anyone that wishes to address the board?
Good afternoon, board. I'm sure you can see I already put the timer up. I do have several comments here. I know 4 at least would like to speak. So starting first, we have Eddie Thomas. So we'll go ahead and unmute Eddie Thomas.
Hello. Good evening.
Sure. Yep.
Good evening.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
You're muffled.
Mr. Thomas. Sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, board. Good evening, board members. I am Eddie Thomas, President of Congress of Flint Community Schools Administrators. I bring to you greetings on their behalf. It is rare that Congress addresses the board in public arenas. Tonight is one of those occasions. I come before you to express the Congress concerns as it relates to our safety advocates and the contract that you will extend or not this evening. Tonight you will hear from a couple of our members who will speak to you concerning the added value that safety advocates provide to buildings. Every day, our staff, students, and support teams, even our safety advocates, come to school to work hard and create strong, positive learning environments. The majority of our students do this. However, we work in learning communities where some students make poor choices, and our safety advocates are there to help support the staff and administration to restore a safe and positive learning environment that is conducive to teaching and learning. During the 2018-2019 school year, we had 1,442 fights without injury, 61 fights with injury, 370 physical assaults without injury, 86 physical assaults with injury, 305 cases of loitering, in addition to 20 dangerous weapons. During the 2019-20 school year, which was ended abruptly in March due to the pandemic, we had 791 fights without injury, 48 fights with injury, 305 physical assaults without injury, 34 physical assaults with injury, 407 cases of loitering, in addition to 19 dangerous weapons. The majority of these conflicts are resolved via the use of our safety advocates, and often lone single building administrator. Our safety advocates are our ears and eyes in the lunchroom, hallways, and bathrooms. In addition, I must add that we have adults who enter our learning communities with ill will intended. They harass, intimidate students and staff, in some cases, fight or physically assault students and staff. Our safety advocates are often the one who prevents these incidents from occurring. Tonight, we implore you to approve this contract, and in the meantime, create some focus groups consisting of board members, school staff, administrators, and our community members to have some serious conversations about alternatives to safety advocates in the future if this boards find that they are not warranted. However, their presence provide a sense of safety for our students, family, and staff. Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Up next, I have Chris Acheniki. I apologize if I butchered your name just now. Let's see. All right, Chris, you are now unmuted. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Good evening. This is Christopher Acheniki, Principal of Southwestern Classical Academy and Vice President of the Flint Community Schools Congress of Administrators. And I am here in support of what Eddie Thomas has said, whereas there is clearly a need for safety advocates to be better trained to help de-escalate potentially volatile situations. Safety advocates do fulfill several vital roles. They help to keep potentially harmful substances and objects like weapons or drugs out of our schools. They help to prevent students from fighting or engaging in dangerous behaviors, or helping to break up these fights should they occur. They help to secure our schools and prevent individuals who should not be present from entering our schools. They help to supervise our lunchrooms, and they help to set the tone that is a positive and professional and calm tone in our learning community. I ask that you seriously consider the well-being and the safety of all Flint Community School scholars, as well as staff, and vote to continue to employ safety advocates within the Flint Community Schools. Thank you.
We have Kelly Fields. All right, Ms. Fields, you are now muted. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Kelly Fields of 2460 Thomas Street, Flint, Michigan. Good evening. I'm the principal of Accelerated Learning Academy, and I'm grateful to have this time today to address the board regarding the issue of safety advocacy and school safety. From a progressive standpoint of view, the issues of school safety are complex. It is my intent to list some of the ways that we have utilized safety advocates to build community and enhance student relationships while maintaining a safe and positive culture. Number one, safety advocates serve as mentors. In many of our schools, safety advocates serve as mentors to students as part of a check-in, check-out strategy as part of the district's PBIS framework. All staff is expected to participate. This strategy provides social emotional support and acts to remove barriers to student success. These mentors are assigned at-risk students to meet with on a daily, weekly basis to quote-unquote check in to ensure that there are no barriers to student success. These check-in appointments range from supports rooted in but not limited to mindfulness, advocacy, tutoring, mentoring, and mentoring capacity. Number two, safety advocates welcome the public and are able to assess any potential adult visitor threat that may present to our buildings. In my tenure of administration, I've experienced several instances of adult violence that could have escalated to a serious nature, where parents have presented to buildings angry or even threatening the lives of staff and sometimes students. Without the support of safety advocates, those instances could have ended in severe trauma. Number three, safety advocates are an important part of hallway and lunchroom safety. Well, with Flint Community Schools, teachers have duty-free lunch times. Additionally, there is very stringent terms under which title staff is even allowed to support hallway and lunchroom activity. Safety advocates help to fill those gaps. Number four, many of our safety advocates employed for Teach Out live in our community and have a strong capacity to know and understand our families and student populations. Lastly, in lieu of no other plan in place at this time, we implore the board to consider passing the action this evening to support the continuation of safety advocates. Additionally, we support the opportunity to move forward with the intentional planning around safety advocacy, exploring ways to reshape and reframe our community and building systems that celebrate equity and inclusivity for all while dismantling systems that marginalize while keeping our school community safe. Thank you for your consideration in this matter, board members.
All right, you have a couple more. Let's see. Up next here, I have Karen Christian. Christian, you are now unmuted on my end. Unmute yourself, and you may begin when you are ready.
Thank you. Good evening. This is Karen Christian, and I am the president of the United Teachers of Flint, 5095 Exchange Drive, Flint 48507. I'm speaking tonight in favor of the renewal of the Teach Out Safety Advocates on behalf of the teachers. There are many reasons that they are needed. The relationships that the safety advocates create with our students is priceless. Many students that they have those relationships with, they're able to calm when they are in distress. Teachers are told repeatedly not to touch students when there is an issue or a fight. So when an altercation takes place, the safety advocates are there to separate students. Some of the safety advocates are the only male role models in the elementary schools for our young men to look up to. They show them the right way to handle situations. Also, they have been through capturing kids' hearts training with us, and they know how to talk with kids and to get the best from them. They help to keep students moving through the hallways and to the places where they need to be. Lastly, they help to control where visitors go in the building so they don't end up in a teacher's classroom interrupting the learning environment. They are greatly needed in this district. Please renew their contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, I now have a written comment here from Bruce Jordan. Question reads, I'm interested to know when this board will resume in-person meetings as staff are now required to be in buildings which started on this past Monday the 7th. As the governing body of this school district, I would hope that this board would lead by example. Is there a resume date? I have a hand raised here from Betty Nostrand. Muted on my end. Unmute yourself, and you may begin when you are ready.
Hello. As a parent of special needs children, several of which who have emotional needs, the safety advocates have helped my kids immensely. It has allowed them to feel safe in their surroundings. It has allowed them to have somebody to talk to when they don't feel that they can with the teachers or other authority figures. And they are really needed. One saved my son's life from another student as the other student was banging my son's head into a wall. Please, please renew their contract. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I believe, let me do one last check. Okay, President McIntosh, that appears to be the end of the public comments at this time.
The public is reminded that you may submit your comments by email to fboe@flintschools.org to have them read at the next meeting. Thank you. I now turn the floor over to Trustee Wright for the Human Resources Committee of a Whole meeting.
Good evening. At this time, I would like to call the Human Resources Committee of the Whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Ms. Rubin to present action items to the board.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Good
Just
evening.
want to make sure you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. I would like to take this time to recognize some employees in our district. We have some of the most dedicated and top grade teachers working with our scholars and their teaching peers. That is why June is bittersweet when we have to announce our retirees. We do not say goodbye, but we say see you soon. Board, please help me congratulate two retirees in our audience. Mrs. Lisa Ike. She has served Flint Community Schools for 26 years and 6 months. Also in our audience is Mrs. Annette Sparks. She has served Flint Community Schools for 29 years and 3 months. Board, retirees are our precious jewel. I have a joke with one of them and said that I've hidden her retirement and we can't find it, so we can't process it because I'm just gonna hate to see her go. But if you could just help me congratulate the retirees in our audience, and retirees, after the climbing the mountain, please take the time to enjoy the view. We thank you for your service for Flint Community Schools, and we welcome you back to see your former peers and former scholars at any time with open arms. We're gonna miss you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Rubin. I would like to say that I did have the opportunity to work with Ms. Ike in particular, and I'm thinking that I may have worked with Ms. Sparks at one time, but I do know that Ms. Ike was an excellent employee, and we will definitely miss her. So Ms. Ike, congratulations on your retirement, and congratulations, Ms. Sparks, as well.
Thank you, board. Now I would like to move to seeking a motion and a second on action item 1.1, personnel recommendations to the regular board June 16th for adoption.
We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second to move action item 1.11, personnel recommendations, to the regular board meeting. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, the vote is on the motion to move action item 1.11, personnel recommendations to the regular board meeting for adoption. As I call your name, please reply yes or no to approve. Mrs. McNeil?
Yes.
Mrs. Green is absent. Mrs. McIntyre?
Yes.
Mrs. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mrs. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
And Diana Wright, yes. The motion passes 6-0. Ms. Rubin? Ms. Rubin?
Thank you, board. I seek a motion and a second to move action item 1.12, authorization to renew insurance vendors, to the regular board meeting for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second to move authorization It has been properly moved and second to move action item 1.12, authorization to renew insurance vendor agreements. And those agreements are with Benchmark Insurance Company and Comprehensive Risk Services to the full board for adoption. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Ms.
Um,
McIntyre.
I was wondering about CRS. It says on page 19 of our packet that it's a service fee proposal, not a renewal. And is this a new agreement? Because it says proposal on it. I really don't want to push it forward if it says proposal. I would like to see it listed as a contract renewal because that's what it should be. And I had concerns about why our school logo is listed on the upper left-hand side of this vendor contract. Why are they using our school logo?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Board Trustee McIntyre. I don't have an answer to your question, but I will get one.
So I'd like these changes to be made before moving this forward.
So noted. I will investigate for you and have an answer by Friday.
So can we either table this until we get that information corrected, or what does the board, what's the pleasure of the board to how to deal with this?
You muted, Miss Wright. You muted, Miss Wright.
You're muted.
Okay, Ms. McIntyre, I just want to, if you can repeat the page number that you were referring to before.
Page 19.
Page 19, okay.
I'm going there as well.
Because we're on 1.12 and page 19 is 1.13. So you, okay, maybe my page, because my page 18, because that's, I was confused.
Are we talking about CRS?
Yes, because maybe did we do a second packet where the page numbers were different?
I don't know. So it
Because
looks like
page 18 is the proposal in 19, because that's why I was confused, because 19 was something different.
okay, so it's a proposal. That's the original proposal. Is that what you're saying, Ms. Wright?
No, I'm just saying that I was confused about the page number. Because you
I'm
said
gonna have to
19
find
and
out
it's
about
actually
this
in
word.
my packet, it's on 18.
Well, I do have I do have 17 and 18 is the executive summary for benchmark and CRS. But what I'm specifically referring to is on page 19 is the CRS. It says service fee proposal. And so is that,
Yeah,
that doesn't look like a renewal. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my page 19 is a whole nother action item. It's actually for Red Rover Technologies. So my question wasn't about what you were saying. It's just that my page numbers weren't lining up with the topics.
I will investigate why it says proposal, because we have been using CRS, and I'm wondering if that should have said renewal.
So I'd like to make a motion that we table this, that we table action item 1.12 until we can get further information and or make the changes. I only got this very thick packet yesterday. I haven't really had a lot of time to go through it, and it just concerns me that there's these seemingly innocuous slight discrepancies, but I want to have time to be able to do due diligence to these documents, especially given that there's so many agreements to be renewed or suspended or put off, for a year.
So would it be would it be possible to move it forward to next week pending the clearing up of the title of the page, whether it's a proposal or a renewal?
Well, I don't think it's so much it's the title of the page certainly, but this whole process of these service contract renewals, I really don't feel like we've been given adequate time and information. Like I said, I would really like to do due diligence, and I feel I'm really uncomfortable with either this mistake or whatever it is. I would really like to investigate it. So I propose that we table it.
There would have to be a motion to that effect.
Okay, I'm motion that we table 1.12, authorization to renew insurance vendor agreements.
Second it.
Okay, so, and I'm gonna refer to Miss, goodness, I forgot Monica's last name. Do we now vote on that?
Yes, you do have to take a roll call.
Okay, so I will do a roll call vote.
I have a question.
And this is to
I have a
table
question.
action item
I have a
1.12.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Perry. I can't see you, so I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Go ahead, Miss Perry.
How time sensitive is this stuff?
Right.
Our contracts always end on June 30th.
Right,
Okay,
and that's
so
why we've been asking for months for this information with sufficient lead time so that we can be able to actually go over them and make sure that we do the due diligence. So I'm a little perturbed that, you know, we were just given this packet and I'm already finding mistakes and we've requested several times to have these contracts both in a list form of which ones are going to be renewed and what the time frame is to renew them, and then also the contracts themselves, and we just haven't been provided with that information in a timely manner.
I'm just asking because I don't want these to expire and then we will not have insurance or any of these other contracts, and I don't know where that will leave us. So that's just why I'm asking that question.
I agree. It's a terrible position to put the board in.
Wait, I agree with Miss Perry, but I'm wondering, Miss Wright, since you're chairing this portion, is it appropriate for us to maybe set a special board meeting or move this and give us time to look at it? Because I just got my packet at like 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, my suggestion is that we move these things forward and then you have all of this week to review it because you can vote it up or down at the full board meeting. But I do think they should be moved forward to the board meeting.
Point of information, my time in.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. McNeil.
I'm kind of in agreement with Trustee Wright, because we're just going to move them forward. We have 8 days to have us this information, and we can vote it up or down, so it doesn't have to just stay in this particular queue right here. Why don't we just move it down and it put the responsibility back on administration. They have to have this to us, and we should have a decision on the 16th. And that's fair, it's fair, and they'll give us time to go through it and look through it because I've been working on mine all day today as well, and just look at it because we do have time and get this information, and hopefully the administration will be kind enough to give us this information because we have to make critical decisions. We don't want to have to be arguing about getting these contracts. So I kind of like to make a motion if it's okay. Do I need to make a motion? Or do
Well, when we voted, you voted. Well, a motion has been put forward and we are at the point of voting. So what we would need to do is if you would like to move forward, you don't
Can I
vote
withdraw my
for the
motion?
motion.
I didn't hear what Ms. Wright said. What'd you say, Ms. Wright?
If you don't want to hold it up, then don't vote for the motion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can
so
I
you would
withdraw
vote.
it based on
Pardon me?
discussion? Can I just withdraw the motion?
Yes, you can do that.
Then I would like to, based on this discussion, I would like to withdraw the motion. I think I'll vote
Okay.
for it.
Okay, then we will move forward with the vote to move action item 1.12 to the full board meeting, which I don't have my date on here. So I will, as I call your name, did someone else have another question? I'm not hearing very well.
No.
I
Okay.
think they're saying this meeting, is it the 16th? Is it next Wednesday?
Oh, the 16th.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't have that in my notes. Okay, thank you. So the vote is on the motion to move action item 1.12 to the regular board meeting for adoption, and we will conduct that with a roll call vote. Please vote by saying yes or no. Mrs. McNeil? Mrs. McNeil? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. McIntyre?
Yes.
Ms. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mrs. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
And Diana Wright, yes, the motion passes 6-0. Ms. Rubin?
Thank you, Board. Let me get back in my right spot.
We're at 1.13.
Thank you. Action item 1.13 is authorization to approve service agreements and invoice. And this is centered around our new technology. Wait a minute. I want to make sure I'm on the right page.
This is Red Rover.
Yes. I had it marked as 4. It's number 3. This is our new technology, Red Rover. It is our software for absence management. We are going with the consortium and with our sub-provider, Staff. They have all switched to Red Rover, leaving behind our old ASOP system.
Okay. Was that
So
in the
moved.
form of a motion, Ms. Rubin?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, it has been properly moved and second to, okay, is there any discussion?
So so the old company, yeah, I'm sorry, Ms. Wright, yes. I might as well make sure on. So the company that was being used formerly, Ms. Rubin, is obsolete now. So they're going to this is the new version that the whole system is linking up with. Is that the whole?
It's a new software, yes. The main differences between the old software was ASOP, and this is Red Rover, and this system is more updated. It can contact subs by text messages, not just cell phone, not just calling and waiting for callbacks. And it allows the subs to respond faster to the buildings when making requests for subs.
Okay, thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Hey,
And I had, oh, go ahead, Joyce.
Is Staff funding this software, or we're buying this software for Staff to have access to services?
Staff has they have their own side of their payment, and we pay for our side.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay.
The subs from Staff are linked up to this. And so if we want to have access to those subs, we need to link up as well, because this is the system where the subs are going to be taking their work assignments from.
Okay. I understand that. Thanks.
Ms.
Yeah, that was
McIntyre?
the kind of the question I had was is this how it's done, that each school district pays the contract in negotiating with EduStaff? And you just answered that question, so thank you. And it says 19 other districts. Are there any districts that aren't using Red Rover?
At the time, there were 2 other districts that were still viewing the video and had verbal commitments, but not signed agreements and move forward as I'm trying to tonight. They haven't presented it to their boards.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Any other questions or discussion? Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, the motion to move action item 1.13, authorization to approve a service agreement with Red Rover Technologies, to move that to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by roll call vote. Mrs. McNeil,
Yes.
Mrs. McIntyre,
Yes.
Ms. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mrs. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
and Diana Wright, yes. The motion passes 6 with the vote of 6, 1 absent. Ms.
Thank you,
Rubin.
board. I seek a motion and a second to move action item 1.14, authorization to extend staffing service contracts to the regular board meeting on June 16th for adoption.
So moved. Is that a you did say motion, right?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Reading too. Okay,
Second.
yes.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I had a question. On page 26, it says, on July 1st, 2021, the Flint Community Schools entered into staffing agreement. Is this just in anticipation of us signing the agreement? Or is that date a mistake?
I think that's in anticipation because the new year starts July 1st.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't a date that was, it just was worded kind of funky.
Yeah, because all of these contracts are for the new year.
Yeah. So it also says that funds for staffing services are both general and grant funded. Can you tell me which percentage, which grants are going to be paying for this, and the percentage? Which are they from the general fund and how much?
I'm sorry, I do not know the percentages, board member McIntyre, trustee McIntyre, but I can find out the grants that are affected or being charged. These staffing agreements mainly come from MTSS, multi-tiered support, which is a title grant, and then our LSS, which is special education.
Can I get a breakdown of that, please? Which grants are paying for what and what the percentage is? And so out of the tier 1 and the LSS, does that mean the rest of it comes out of the general fund?
Correct.
Can you provide that information? What the percentages would be?
Sure, I will research that and find out. A lot of the general ed is a lot of the special ed is grant funded, and it may be a small amount of grant dollars from special ed. They mainly may be general fund, but I will get a breakdown of the percentage.
Yes, I would like to be more specific so that we can see where these dollars, which budgets they're coming from, please.
Is that an item that will be coming forth in the district budget as opposed to a human resources budget?
Yes, I'm
That's a
gonna
question.
have to go
That's a
to the.
question.
Oh, yeah, I will have to go to the finance side to find out percentages.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there any, did I see your hand, Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I just had a question for Georgina. I was looking in the notes section, and I just wondered if it was typical, as I'm looking at on my page is page 20, but it talks about the administrative fee margins being between 44 and 53%. And again, that percentage just jumped out at me as high, but I just didn't know if that was typical or not.
I'm trying to get to the page that you're speaking
It's
of.
like the bid sheet is 5.8 is at the top, and then it's in the notes section. And it talks about the administrative fee margins.
It's either 28 or 29, depending on the packet.
Yeah, yeah, it's 20 on mine.
Again, I'm gonna have to defer to finance to see if those were the average margins when we did the bid. We've had these service agreements with these companies in place for some time, so I can go to the original margins and see what they are. I don't have a straightforward answer for you at this time.
That's fine. It's
And
just
we are,
something.
I'm sorry, but I'm flipping back and forth trying to keep up. And we are on what? 1.414?
Yep.
Yes.
The one that says variable pricing contingent on job classifications, market
Yes.
conditions.
Yes.
That's concerning because what does that mean exactly?
They give us a range of based on experience. So, for example, they may present a social worker today. It's just not a flat rate. So one social worker may be $50 an hour, and one social worker may be $70 an hour based on their experience. And we have that variable rate to negotiate to say whether or not we can accept that candidate. It's just not a flat rate that they won't come to us with every social worker flat rate, because they all come with different experiences.
Well, should we?
So can we get this information?
Hold on. This is just a question, Mr. I don't know if Ms. Wright trying to say something, but she muted. But anyway, can we put a flat rate that we don't want? I mean, because would we really want to pay? And I understand you have to pay for people's experiences, but do we want to pay $70 an hour for a social worker? Just an example. If we can get one for $35 an hour, shouldn't we put a cap on there ourselves? Like we don't want to pay over this much for a social worker, or especially
Well,
with
when
us.
we do that, we limit our access, because that is the going rate. The variable rates that they provide us, we're losing a social worker this week for less than $5.
Okay, I got you. All right.
When we have a variable rate, we remain competitive.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed, but my computer blanked out for a second there. I don't know what happened. So we are at the point of voting on this motion, I assume. Okay, Adrian, it's not that funny. You all didn't even know I was gone, did you?
We did. I thought you were
looking for you.
Huh?
I thought you were turning off.
No, it just shut off. I could see you guys, but it had some. Anyway, I hope the hackers didn't get me, but okay. All right, so our vote is on, let's see, all my papers are all askew. Okay, so we're on action item 1.13, am I correct?
Mine say 1.14. I thought, are we on?
Okay, all right, so the vote is to move action item 1.14 extending staffing services contract agreements, and there's a list of those that are there and moving those to the regular board meeting for adoption, and we will conduct a roll call vote. Please say yes or no. Mrs. McNeil,
Yes.
Mrs. McIntyre,
Yes.
Ms. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mrs. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
and myself, Diana Wright, yes. So the motion passes 6 in favor.
Thank
Is
you,
there
board.
anything? All right. Is there? Okay. Seeing that there's no further action, I declare the Human Resources Committee of the Whole meeting adjourned, and I will turn the floor over to Treasurer McIntyre for the Finance Committee of the Whole portion of the agenda. This meeting adjourned at, goodness, I don't see the time, but it's adjourned.
8:02. I would like to call the Finance and Operations Committee of the Whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Mrs. Dumfrey to present action to the board.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Contained in your packet are resolutions 11.8 through 11.14 that were shared at the Finance and Operations Subcommittee meeting on Monday, June 7th, 2021. The intent is to present all budget information at a special budget presentation meeting next Wednesday, June 16th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. prior to the regular board meeting. Please understand the budget presentation has been advised for the public to inspect and comment about the proposed FY22 budget with the June 16, 2021 date. I respectfully request that we table action items 11.8 through 11.14 to Wednesday, June 16, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. for a special budget presentation meeting.
You need a motion? Or are we
Yes.
just asking for table?
No, I need a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Is she talking?
I am talking. I apologize. I just unmuted myself. Ms. Dumfrey, I was going to say, I think you sent an email that indicated this information, but I can't really remember. Is there a date that you're going to have this information for us to review before the meeting?
Yes, the budget presentation along with some additional supporting information with explanations will be submitted to Monica, and it will be available on Friday for distribution. So board members will be able to get it at that time, and then you will have it to be ready for the special board meeting, special budget presentation meeting.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, the motion to table action item 11.8 through 11.14 to the special budget presentation meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please reply yes or no to approve. Danielle Green is absent. Joyce McNeil,
Yes.
Vera Perry,
Yes.
Adrian Walker,
Yes.
Diana Wright,
Yes.
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
and myself, Laura McIntyre, yes. The motion passes with 6 yes to 1 absent.
I seek a motion.
Please continue, Ms. Dumpre.
I'm sorry. I seek a motion and second to move action item 11.15, authorization to extend FY22 Raymond Robeson contract payroll services to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do, because I thought we were trying to, I'm not sure, maybe superintendent can answer this. I thought we were going with independent people from the district. Was that for payroll, or, I'm sorry, can you give me some clarity on that, Ms.
Ms.
Superintendent?
Humphrey, I can speak to this.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we have payroll service contract where Raymond Roberson is what we have right now that expires on June 30th, 2021. But we have an extension in the option in our contract to extend it for 4 more months. The district is currently looking for a district employee to provide payroll services. And once we hire a person for payroll services from the district, we will need to train this person. So we're asking to extend the contract for 4 more months so that so that Raymond Roberson can help train the new person that we're looking for.
And so are we gonna put something in writing and hold their feet to the fire for 4 months and make sure we do our due diligence to get that person trained?
Yes,
Because we don't want to keep extending.
Yes, our contract is for 4 months only, and we do have a couple candidates that have applied for the position, and so we're planning to have some interviews potentially next week.
Okay, because this says, okay, this right here that we have, 11.15 says, we wish to contract with Raymond Robinson Payroll Services for $10,000 per month for the fiscal year of 21 to 2022. And it says for $126,000. So that's more than 4 months.
So that is an error. And we will ensure that this is fixed before we go to, before this is voted on for next month. So it is actually for $11,000 a month, and it will be for $44,000 in total.
Okay, and the corrections will reflect in the packet for next week's meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it will.
Thank you, Ms. Dumpre. That's it for me.
Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, the motion to move action item 11.15 to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please reply yes or no to approve. Danielle Green, absent. Joyce Ellis McNeil.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
Carol McIntosh.
Yes.
And myself, Laura McIntyre. Yes. The motion passes by a vote of 6 yes to 1 absent. Please continue, Ms. Dumpre.
I seek a motion and a second to move action item 11.16, authorization to extend information technology services contract to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? It has been properly moved and seconded.
We're at 116. How many
This is
This
116. Go ahead.
this is 11.16.
Okay. And that's Vortex. Okay. It's this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So is this this is the only is this the only IT company we're working with?
This is the current IT company that we have at this time. We
Okay.
are expecting to go out to do an RFP. But at this time, we're asking to extend their services while we go out for an RFP.
And how long do you think the RFP will be for? And if we go out for an RFP and we approve this 1-year contract, then we'll be held liable for a year's contract and still have to pay them, even if we find another company. How does that work?
So we would have the new company start when this contract ends, and there will potentially be there may potentially be some transition time to ensure that everything is moving from the old company to the new company, if that's what happens. So
Okay.
So if I may,
I'm sorry, I wanted to answer that question about how long the RFP takes, please.
Yeah.
So I asked my controller, the controller for the district, Tish Wolf, to do a analysis to tell us how long it would take for an RFP. So I would like to allow her the opportunity to speak, please.
Before we do that,
excuse me, I'm the chair of the Finance and Operations Committee meeting. Just one moment, Dr. McNeil. We did have a robust discussion in the Sub-Finance Committee meeting on Monday. Sorry?
I wasn't finished, but go ahead.
Well, I think this might actually expedite the situation, because we did get written information from VARTEC, and we do have some representatives who we asked to come to this meeting today to be present to answer any particular questions. And so I would like to avail them the opportunity to answer questions.
So I'm sorry, Treasurer McIntyre, I
Yes?
can't hear you speaking. So board president asked about the RFP process and how long that took. And so I wanted to provide her with that information before we let VARTEC speak. And so that's why I asked to allow Tish to be able to explain how long it takes to do an RFP. So may we do that first, and then we can have VARTEC speak?
Sure, that sounds great. Thank you.
Tish, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. I know there was some discussions during that finance subcommittee meeting about the RFP process and how long that process takes. I did kind of look at some factors and variables that I wanted to bring forth on why. I know some numbers are thrown out like 3 to 6 months, but I don't think that that's a feasible option, just because there's a lot that goes into, like when you're looking at a bid for IT or custodial and maintenance, there's a lot of items that go into each one of those and a lot of decision-making processes that go in. So if you're okay with it, I can give you some examples of what holds us back as far as making it a quick turnaround time. Some of the things that you have to have discussions with, and I'm not sure who would make these decisions not having a director of operations, but you're going to have to discuss who's responsible for buying the supplies, who's responsible for, who's allowed to make decisions, what type of authority are you going to allow these vendors to have and act on our behalf. The whole process, when you're outsourcing that type of thing, you're also going to have to ensure that the HR side of it is also being followed. So you're going to have policies and procedures developed mutually between both contracts, and the contract that goes out for bid also has to have that happen and written in there. The infrastructure portion for both IT and for custodial and or maintenance, you have to understand the unique needs in each building. We have to look at what type of infrastructure we currently have. What are we going to need to get us up to par to whatever systems that we're getting ready to implement? Can our Wi-Fi support a one-to-one? Those type of questions are things that we need to understand. That includes understanding where our property books are. If you're looking at IT, what are our Chromebooks, what are our life cycles, all of those things need to be built in and developed in there, because those are very valid questions that a vendor is going to ask when they come to us and we're putting this out for bid. What am I going to be servicing? What am I going to be looking at? If you're looking at custodial, how many rooms do you have? What's the square footage of each building? What are the hours my people are required to be there for? These are questions that I've written several RFPs. They're ones I could not answer. That is something that I feel a director of operations would be able to answer. So not having that position filled, and I know the district is working diligently at filling that position, that individual would be able to work with us to get that information for us. And currently, both those positions, the IT and the custodial maintenance, is all outsourced to another organization, meaning that if they wanted to rebid, I just want to ensure that the board is aware, not having a director of facilities, we would have to work directly with them to get the information needed to develop this RFP, and that could be considered a conflict of interest. So I wanted to ensure that you understand that while a 3 to 6 month process would be ideal in any way, I want to do what's best for the scholars and the district and do a full, thorough RFP process. Get all the information that's actually needed, develop a good RFP, a solid one that can be reviewed, that's put out for like 30 to 60 days so that we can get the most amount of applicants to come in. And then once that 30 to 60 day mark happens, you're going to also want to have to make sure that you're doing walkthroughs for the building so IT can see where our hotspots are, what type of services we have. If we're doing custodial, they need to see the rooms and what access they have and what they would be doing on a daily basis. And again, that's all developed around timeframes and timelines. Us coming into summer is the ideal time because I don't have students in the building for most of the day where you can schedule those type of things. But if we wait and we do it later in the year, I have to work around the days the students are in the building and have those contractors in the building outside of school hours, if that makes sense. Once you have that 30 to 60 days after doing that, you're looking at another 15 to 20 before review. And then you're going to have optional meetings with the vendors themselves to answer, if the board wants to review the vendors and actually interview the contendants. That's always something that is available. And then you determine notify the winning bid. Those sometimes can take about 140 days. And if you look at that, that's still a pretty quick turnaround time, but that's once you actually post it. You're looking at that time frame of like 140 days after I physically post it. Developing that RFP and getting all of those special quirks in there worked out takes time. And I don't want to rush through something and come back to the board in 6 months and say, this is what we could get through and then it not work. So if we could have a year extension, that would be the most ideal. That would allow for time for transition. It would allow for us to do a thorough bid and have the most, because my hope would be that we could put it out. Ideally, I would like to see it out for more than 60 days so we can get a lot of responses, because that's where you're going to see the best opportunity for us to actually review and look at everything and see what's really out there. I don't really want to rush through those. I can answer any questions if you have any.
Anyone have any questions, Ms. Wolf?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was speaking. Yeah, I have a question. I want to know, why are we interested in changing? What is our issue with them? Things of that nature. What's going on with the service that we are putting an RFP out? Just asking.
I'll speak now. We're trying to do our due diligence and ensure that we're going out to see if we are getting the best services available at the best price. So we're trying to be fiscally responsible.
Okay, and have we looked at all the resources that VARTech offers? Have we looked to see if they offer any extended services? If we extend their contract for this year, have we checked to see if we can get the biggest bang for our buck from them? If we engage to this contract, maybe some of the issues that we're having with them, we went with a different package or something. I don't know, because I'm not fluent in that. I'm just some things that's on my mind that I think I should ask.
So if I may, we have representatives from VARTEC who have graciously donated their time to be here to answer questions. We did have as I said, a robust discussion on Monday, and we're provided with several documents, President McIntosh, which I believe were forwarded to you in the email. So that would probably answer a lot of the questions that you have. But in addition, we do have representatives here. That was information that wasn't available during the finance and subcommittee meeting that VARTEC, the company, did provide themselves. They spent an inordinate amount of time, in my opinion, pulling together documentation at the last minute so that we could have that for tonight. So with the pleasure of the board, I'd like them to be available for questions.
Dr. Joyce also had a question, but okay, go ahead.
I didn't have so much a question. I think that once we listened to our presenter, because we was making decision based on misinformation, and that's one of the reasons I kind of reached out to VARTEC and let them to come in, because I think, in my opinion, we would be making a big mistake to look for RFP at a crucial time like this, and it's more than a year to even do what they're talking about. So why don't we give them an opportunity? We have the information that they were so kindly to provide to Laura and myself, and we pass them to the board. I want to thank Jamie and our Darlene for allowing me to get a good understanding of what you guys do. So we're going to turn it back over to Ms. McIntyre, and she can turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think Carol, they do have some outstanding services that they can provide in addition, some of them at no additional cost, that have been available that we haven't availed ourselves of. So with that being said, I can't say it better than the president. So Darlene, if you will.
I just want to make sure, can I be heard? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, very good. Jamie's going to kick our meeting off, and we are going to supply you this PowerPoint to you after the meeting. The PowerPoint's going to have a few more slides and we're going to talk about. We want to respect your time tonight, and we absolutely are honored to be here to have a chance to talk about some of the accomplishments that we have made and our commitment to Flint Community Schools. So let me quickly turn it over to Jamie. We have some new data even since Monday night, because we now have some survey results from this year's survey that's out there and still open until Friday. So Jamie. It's a beautiful runner on the beach. Are you having a little bit of trouble getting your PowerPoint to come up?
Is she frozen or is she good?
No, she's there, but we're not hearing her. Or, I mean, I know she's done look like she's talking, but is everything okay, Jamie?
Sorry, I apologize. It's my fault. She's unmuted now. I apologize.
So let me just,
thank
you so much. Let me gather myself and make sure we have the correct screen showing. So my apologies for that. 1 second.
And while Jamie's doing that, we also have Sam Jolly. Those of you who are on as from the district, you know Sam well. He's our ed tech leader and is there every day. And so it's our pleasure to have him join us tonight, and we will be as efficient with your time as possible, but we just want to hit a few important points that we think will be of value to you. Jamie, you look like you were good. Are you still?
We are good now. I apologize. Thank you for your patience. As Darlene said, I will get this kicked off. Thank you for your time. We know it is valuable tonight, and we want to make sure that we don't spend too much time, but appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm going to touch a little bit as the Director of Customer Experience on on a few initiatives that we're working on recently. I know in Monday night's subcommittee meeting, there was a survey that was presented that the district had done, and I want to also offer some feedback. Every year, we survey our partners as our annual customer satisfaction survey, and we do this to ensure that the services that we're delivering are constantly reviewed and analyzed by our teams, and then we take that information and we prepare a report for the administration and the board to show what we heard and what we're going to do to get better. So we wanted to share a little bit of the feedback. This survey was released this week. It was released yesterday morning. It is typically released in May, but I know that the district had their operations survey that they wanted to send out, and so we waited for that. So as of this afternoon, we'll give you the feedback that we have so far. A couple quotes that we have heard from board members and staff members and faculty members. We wanted to share those. We know the importance of quantitative data in surveys as well as qualitative data. So a couple of the quotes that we have seen and collected, we wanted to share as it speaks to service, resolution, timeliness of responses, and how our team has been serving the district as a whole. And as I said, we released this survey yesterday morning. As of about 3:30 this afternoon, we did have 99 respondents, and we have 2 days left open on the survey. We'll be sending out a reminder tomorrow to complete that survey. It's about an 11-question survey asking about the satisfaction levels with different ways of interacting with service. One thing to note, and why I point out that there are 44 teachers, is we do ask if the respondent is a teacher, and then we serve them specific questions about how they use technology in the classroom, how they do currently, and how they wish they could be using technology in the classroom. And with our close relationship with the curriculum department, that is one of the things that we want to be able to offer as feedback that we need to use to ensure that technology aligns with the curricular needs of the school, and to make sure the curriculum department knows as well. So far, of those 99 respondents, our scale is of a 1 to 5, with satisfied, very satisfied, and extremely satisfied being 3, 4, 5. 75 respondents have responded in that range of satisfied, very satisfied, or extremely satisfied when asked about their level of satisfaction with technology support. 83% of respondents have responded appropriately valued, very valued, or extremely valued when asked how they feel valued as a customer by VARTEC. And then we had a subset of questions around issue resolution and whether or not they had sent in a ticket or an email or called our team, or do what we call shoulder taps and seen one of our team members in the building to ask for help. Some positives that came out of that we recognized were timeliness of initial response, communication, and customer orientation scores. And we've identified some areas already to improve, and that is the correct resolution of issues and resolving issues in a timely manner. And as I said, if we close this survey on Friday and our team begins the analysis portion, we will provide a comprehensive analysis of the survey and our action items to improve moving forward. I'm going to turn it over now to VARTEC President Darlene Waite for the next couple slides.
Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I think those of you who are familiar with the Consortium of School Network Administrators know how important it is to use industry best practices. And if you'll just put them all up, the 3 major swim lanes that VARTEC always operates in is understanding the importance of leadership and vision, understanding the educational environment, and managing technology and support resources. And the company as a whole is responsible for bringing these skill sets, these competencies, and these initiatives to the district, working closely with administration and subsets of the board if that's appropriate. Going on to the next slide, I just wanted to do a quick, Jamie, if you'll carry you moving me forward. I want to just go back and quickly hit on how we got here. In 2016, we did respond to a blind RFP, and we were selected, and the board voted just as we kind of are right now in June of 2017, and I believe we were approved on June 26th, and we started on July 1. So it was a very quick turnaround, and we definitely hustled and were able to get the first school started on August 1 that year. So it was a very, very busy July. Our next quick, if you'll just put the next ones in. Since that time, we've gone ahead and we've had 3 consecutive one-year renewals. And we're going to hit quickly, not myself, but Jamie and Sam are going to talk about some of the accomplishments that we've made. And during this period of time, we've worked with serving your faculty and your students, your scholars. We've supported multiple superintendents, multiple curriculum leaders, and multiple directors of operations with our effort to be the stability in the service of the teaching learning environment. I'm not going to go through every detail on these next slides, but when Ms. McIntyre mentioned or Dr. Alice McNeil mentioned, we have many more services within the context of our company to work on helping the district lead IT strategically, working together, building an IT strategic plan. What does where does school want to be 3 to 5 years? Ensuring that we put together, as we have been supplying an asset refresh plan every January that we have been with the district to say, this is what we recommend to have a 20% asset refresh. We shared a couple or 3 of those with the board members when we supplied our information. And then we also are looking each year, working collaboratively with the administration to say, is the current staffing that which will support your vision and your strategy? And that's why you're going to hear a little bit about why we made a proposed change for this upcoming year, again, to meet the school's needs where they are. Also then in the IT strategic plan, a couple of other things is to ensure that we have an ongoing roadmap for an optimized infrastructure that includes the ability to serve your end user devices, to ensure your infrastructure, equipment, and refresh is aligned with what the classroom goals are. And then finally, a service that we haven't brought, but are certainly able and offering to so many of our clients is developing and delivering progressive professional learning programs to your teachers. So VARTEC, we have over 25% of our faculty, of our entire employee base are educators, myself included. We have classroom technology coaches, we have a director of tech integration to work with your curriculum staff to ensure that professional services are being provided to your faculty. And so there's a little more about this in the presentation that you'll be given, but before I end, I just want to hit on what have we accomplished in the time that we've been there. And we have a quick little table on the next slide that isn't catching up with my words, but I know that it's coming. Basically, we've introduced leadership, strategic communications, as was mentioned. Every week, we prepare a weekly status report that we send to the administration. We prepare and deliver a monthly tech update to go to the board, as well as quarterly status reports. We have created integrated systems with your Active Directory, your Google, your Office 365. We've prepared each year and delivered a multi-year asset refresh plan per building. And we also have honored and met all of our partnership service agreements that are promises made in our contracts. We have exceeded the 60% one-day resolution. So if you put a ticket in, and everybody in the district puts a ticket in, We guaranteed you that we would close 60% of those, that we would resolve those. We have run an 86.13%. The same thing is true of a 3-day resolution period of 80% is our contracted amount, and we've been running 93.82%. Many of the things we have not been able to meet in these areas or in the aging area, and it has to do with some of your infrastructure requests that need to get approved, that need to get identified so that we can get those bought. And they're going to talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jamie and Sam but these are facts. We have data to back up everything that we've listed here, and we just need to talk about what's important to you, what's next.
Yes, thank you, Darlene. So in terms of what's next, so we've talked about what we've done and where we focus, and Sam and I are going to talk to you a little bit more about the priorities that we have. And as we've stated, it is so critical is building a vision and aligning the use of technology and technology in the classroom with that vision. And so what we want to do now and into the future is partner to build that vision. We understand that not just within the district, but within the community, there are connectivity challenges. We know, especially in the district, we have buildings with aging equipment or challenges with the Wi-Fi. And I'm going to turn it over to Sam Jolly, our ed tech leader who leads our team on behalf of VARTech for Flint Community Schools, to talk a little bit about some of the network and wireless projects we have going on right now.
Thank you, Jamie and Darlene, and thank you, board, for allowing us to present and offer some information to you. So some of the current network infrastructure plans that we have been implementing include upgrading the current wireless access points, the devices that provide the actual Wi-Fi in each of the buildings. We conducted an inventory and audit and went through the process of purchasing 255 wireless access points as a one-to-one replacement plan. Part of the network infrastructure upgrade includes the actual network switches. So these are the background devices that we don't actually think about, but they provide internet access to each of the buildings. The vast majority of those devices are aging, and a fair percentage are failing. So we do have a plan in place to upgrade those. We have recently completed the 2019 E-rate network switch refresh project. So a portion of those network switches have already been upgraded and replaced in each of the buildings, including the administration building. And we're also finishing a wireless survey of the 2 remaining buildings to receive wireless access points as well. And we also have plans working in cooperation with the Genesee Intermediate School District to upgrade the internet speed for the entire district to 10x that for the whole capacity of the district. So we have lots of good plans to make sure that the scholars have solid connectivity and the teachers have the resources they need to succeed as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, for adding some context to that. In addition to the network side, we're also optimizing the systems, the platforms, the applications, the management consoles that control the scholar devices and teacher devices. We have all seen and felt the influx of new technology available to the scholars over the past several months. Sam and his team are in conjunction with the title department and curriculum department are hard at work getting all those devices ready, and we're on the back end really ensuring that those systems work to manage those devices and that we have good control over them as we continue to increase the amount of scholar devices available. Which leads to my next one. Yes, ma'am.
Jamie, we've been asked to move on. Okay. Not that they're not interested in this, but I understand that they are getting tired. I get it. So we'll send you this presentation. The only thing you're going to see that you haven't seen is an understanding explanation of why we had an optimized staffing that aligned with all the things that got to get done in this next year. That's what's in here. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And, we want to be your partner. And, I hope this is the beginning of your understanding all the capabilities that we have. We're done. Thank you.
so much.
Mr. Walker has a question.
I believe that yeah, there's some questions here. Yeah. Adrian, you have a question?
Yes, I do. I want to thank you all for coming in and presenting to us. I think it was great here. But I also had a question, and I apologize if I missed it. But you know, when you look at the news and you see what's been going on within the tech side, you think about the safety of our and the security of our networks. So can you all talk about that? I mean, we saw what just happened on the East Coast not too long ago, and the trickle-down effect. It seems like a lot of attacks are coming in via that, and the potential, as you mentioned, we have an aged infrastructure. So that kind of leads me to believe that we're a little bit more vulnerable with our current structure. So can you talk about the work that you all are doing around that space to make sure that our networks continue to remain viable and hopefully protected?
Absolutely. And if I may, I'd like to field this question. Thank you.
Yes, please, Sam.
Thank you very much. This is close to my heart. I got into IT primarily to study networking. So yes, this is a very valid concern. The Flint Community Schools is not exempt and is at risk. Part of our technology optimization plan includes specifically upgrading the physical network infrastructure, and that is certainly part of resolving and mitigating that risk. However, a large portion of that risk comes through the person aspect, the employees. So an important part of this plan is to have anti-phishing education. So just how to recognize spam and attempts to gain access to accounts, user accounts, passwords, and that sort of information. And in addition to that, we have recommended the implementation of what's called multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. That's where you go to log in like normal, you receive a code from your phone or email or some other way, and that proves that you have access to that account. And upgrading the physical infrastructure, having that education for all the users in the district, and implementing the multi-factor authentication all going together will help protect us and our user accounts and all the data that we have.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just to add, I guess, icing on the cake there is, as Sam was saying, it's no one solution, and all of them working together is really critical. And I know we put a few things there, and we are happy to expand on those in writing later. Yes, Ms. Wright.
One of the things, this goes along with Adrian's questions about the, you know, the hacking possibilities. So my question is only about the district's VPN. Do they do the, you know, multiple level of authentication on that now?
The VPN
Your
solution is
VPN is actually provided. Oh, I'm sorry. You're probably gonna say what I was gonna say, Sam. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's exactly right. So the VPN solution is currently provided by the GASD, and we don't have control over the user authentication process. We can have a conversation with the GASD about the security of the current VPN solution or any other alternatives that may be available to us.
Yeah, because I know I've heard of at least one school district being attacked, you know, with a request for a ransom. So I wouldn't want that to be us.
Right.
Quickly on that, we'd love to have a separate conversation with you, and we'd be happy to come back at the board's request and go over an entire cybersecurity program from the back of the curtain to the front where the people are sitting with a computer in front of them, where your big risk is. So if we could be granted that time in a future meeting, we'd be happy to do that. It is important.
I think that would be awesome.
We'll do that.
And Darlene, I don't know if you sent the information to the entire board or just to the finance subcommittee, but Trustee Wright, did you get the information that they sent between Monday and now?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody had the same information. And I think it would be a great idea to have the VARTech team come back so that we can further discussions, because this is something that's very, very important and is getting more and more important by the day. And also given what Congressman Kildee was speaking about in terms of underrepresented communities and access to internet usage, I think we could really do something creative and have some kind of collaboration with the legislature, maybe city council, because this isn't just a school district issue, it's a community issue. Does anyone have any additional comments?
I just want to make one comment, and I can get with Darlene, maybe you can contact me. I would like to have some type of cyber security training information to the parents in the community of the school, because the kids are smarter than what we think. And I have taught these classes, and I can tell you they can get around some things. But I think at this point we need to re-energize our community as well and make them more knowledgeable. And maybe we can get this set up some kind of way using your service, and maybe you volunteer and give us your service and help the community understand, because the kids are living on these iPads and stuff. So I really appreciate your time. I learned so much about your organization, and I'm so glad that I reached out and I have a better understanding. I also want to publicly apologize because we kind of beat you guys up, and that is because I didn't have the information. And I'm a big girl. If I say something wrong, I do something wrong, I will apologize. So I knew that you was better than what I was hearing, so I got a good opportunity because I worked with you guys a very long time. So thank you for that opportunity, and hopefully we can move forward and continue this relationship.
Very good, thank you. And we'd be happy to help out with your cybersecurity, so I will reach out to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Dr. McKillop, I wouldn't say we beat them up so much as we asked some good probing questions, and they responded in kind, and that's exactly what we're looking for and what we need to move this district forward. So thank you, and I really appreciate, again, like I said, I think you've gone above and beyond the call of duty in terms of pulling this together, and all the documents just within the past couple of days. Thank you.
Ms. McIntyre, if I may, on that note,
thank you.
Seek the board's permission to have the monthly tech update included every month in your board packet. That is the intention of that document, and I want to make sure that you see those moving forward every month.
Yes, I would love that.
Thank you. We'll make sure that that is in your packet each month.
Administration, Mo and administration, can we make sure that that gets into our packet?
I heard, and I will most definitely make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, the motion to move action item 11.16 to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please reply yes or no to approve. Danielle Green, absent. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
Carol McIntosh.
Yes.
And myself, Laura McIntyre, yes. The motion passes by a vote of 6 yes to 1 absent. Please continue, Mrs. Dumpre. Mrs. Dumpre, are you still with us?
I'm sorry. Yes, I was speaking. I didn't realize I was still on mute. I apologize.
Happens to all of us. Yep.
And a second to move action item 11.17, authorization to extend maintenance and custodial service contract agreement FY22 to the regular board meeting on June 16, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
See, there, I did it too. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
May I make a statement, please?
You sure may.
There is an error in the resolution for the dollar amount, and it will be fixed before you get it at the regular board meeting. The total dollar amount, this doesn't include the enhanced services for COVID. So the total dollar amount is 2.652504. You will receive the updated amount for the regular board meeting.
Goodness, that's a big error.
What page is that on?
In my packet, it is page 68 and 69.
Okay.
And this is for custodial services as well, right?
This is custodial and maintenance for 2.652504.
I
So
do want.
the maintenance, you want me to tell you the breakout between maintenance and custodial?
Go ahead.
The maintenance piece is 623,801, and the custodial piece is 2,028,703, and the total is 2,652,504. I apologize for all of these, for the mistakes.
Ms. Dunpray, I just want to say, with our custodials, now they're also handling our restrooms, right? Let me make sure they're the ones who's doing this.
Yes.
Okay, before we pay them all these dollars, we need to put in their contract hand soap in the bathrooms and tissue is mandatory. I am tired of hearing about students not being able to wash their hands with soap and not having tissue. And we are spending this kind of money. Do they provide those things? Is the custodial company responsible for providing those things?
We have a representative for CSM here. If you want to ask him some direct questions, he's on the line.
Okay,
Yeah.
put him on.
Come on.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Yes. Don't want to beat up on you, but we do have to represent for our students. And the number one complaint we're getting is there's never any tissue or soap in the bathrooms. And I have went in the bathroom and there was no soap. Soap and tissue is mandatory. That's not a luxury. That's not an option. And when you spend money for services, if tissue and soap is additional, we need to know that, because like I said, those are must-haves.
We agree with that. To clarify, I think the question, what we would consider soap and hand towels a consumable. The consumables are something that we would put in the bathrooms, but it's something that's ordered and paid for by the district, if that makes sense.
Oh, I'm glad, because I wasn't aware of that. That's not what we've been being told. So we should have plenty of hand soap and tissue this year then.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you so much.
I have a question for Mike. How often do they do you have a schedule? How often do they mop those restrooms? And I'm including the teacher's restroom as well. You know, how often do they mop them and clean them during the day? Are you just doing it once a day or once in the evening? Just getting clean service in those areas. How often do they do that? Do you have somebody to monitor? Do we have a cleaning schedule?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and to kind of speak more broadly to, I guess, would be the scope of services. We did some work as we were coming through COVID last year in July and August to take a look at the scope of services, and we made some recommendations at that time to make some changes, and specifically to bring some equipment in. My understanding from Ray Gatika, who is our manager at Flint, is that the restrooms could use a bit of deep cleaning on a more regular basis. So we made a recommendation to get that in place, as well as to increase some frequencies with which they were cleaned on a daily basis, both during the daytime hours and during the evening or second shift hours, once the school is primarily empty. So we believe between those two initiatives that with the changes to scope, that we should see some improvements in the overall cleanliness and appearance of the bathrooms in the upcoming school year. The changes to the scope were approved in April officially of 2021. We've invested in the equipment, which is called a kayaking system. It's a great piece of equipment, but it's basically a high pressure power washer that has a vacuum unit on it, and it will do a really nice job getting a bit more of a deep clean on the bathrooms. The plan is to do that monthly, and they'll be on a rotation. But we're very excited to bring that technology into the cleaning equipment that we have down there, and we think you're going to see some considerable benefits as we move through the school year with that.
Okay, and I hope that includes the bathroom doors, because when you sit in the school the whole year and you can see that, you can't even touch the doors, they're so filthy. And they like that for a whole year. So that's something that kind of get overlooked. But they need a deep cleaning as well. So I'm glad you said that you're doing a deep cleaning, and your employees need to be more cautious of that, because when kids go back, they go in and out of that bathroom, and not even I want to touch that door on a good day. So I'm glad you're bringing that up, that we're going to be doing deep cleaning, because they do need a deep cleaning.
Yeah, and again, I think the thing that we're excited about is that the deep cleaning will take place on a regularly scheduled interval. So it's something that'll be part of the process that we have that we're using down there.
Okay.
Board Chair, this is Anita Stewart. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Absolutely. Hi, Mike. Just a clarifying question. So I know the district is responsible for purchasing soap and paper towel. So are you saying that we don't have that stuff on hand? That's why it's not in the restrooms? I'm just asking for clarity.
That's not what I'm saying. It's our responsibility to make sure it's in the restrooms. This is something I will need to kind of discuss with the staff on site to get some perspective from them on why this has been an issue. But I wasn't suggesting that it's not because Flint isn't providing it. I think I was just trying to clarify what the dollars in our contract are paying for, and what the district is paying for.
Thank you for that clarity.
And I think that we need somebody to monitor what, when we run out of tissue and paper towel. I was at the school right before the pandemic, and I'm going to Sam's Club, and I'm keeping a case of toilet tissue in my room because the kids didn't have tissue or hand soap, and this is real. So maybe we need someone to say, hey, homeschool is out of tissue and paper towel, because I'm thinking that you guys were supposed to provide it. And now we're hearing that you don't. So, but we do need to monitor when we run out. Somebody need to let administration know that we don't have paper towel and hand soap and stuff like that in the bathroom. And I know if you got kids, that's a big issue for you. If you don't have kids, that's probably not. But it's an issue for us because the kids got to have paper towels and soap and toilet tissue to wash their hands. So maybe at some time we can put something together and just say, hey, who's monitoring this when we run low?
It's a great suggestion, and it's something that we will talk with the team about and make sure we're coordinating appropriately with the school district on ordering.
Okay.
So I'm still confused. Why wasn't it taking? I mean, I'm looking through the contract renewal agreement and looking at all the line items that you have of the duties that you're supposed to do. Is replacing tissue and soap in one of these?
I would need to take a look to specifically find that line item, but it's our understanding that it's our responsibility to keep consumables in bathrooms, whether it's hand sanitizer, tissues, or soap, stocked.
Right, I understand that, but I mean, where in the contract, you have all these other line items about very specific things about, you know, cleaning light switches, replacing this and that, and you know, you've got a breakdown between CSM custodial and CSM maintenance and Flint Community Schools. So where would that be in this contract?
Are you looking at page 75?
I'm looking at pages 72 through 77. Or 78.
Yeah, so and I'm not sure, I don't have a copy of the packet. In the renewal agreement, we have the page numbers at the bottom of the pages, and on page 9 of 9, under restrooms and locker rooms, restocking toilet paper, paper towel, feminine products, soap, etc., is included on that line item in our scope of work.
But it says daily.
Correct.
Page 75, yeah.
So it would be, there's some way that we can amend your contract? Or, I mean, what do we need to do? I mean, I understand, I mean, I've heard the discussion, but I'm just trying to figure out why it wasn't done and what we're gonna need to do to ensure, you know, because I know that calls were made and complaints were made, and it just, what can we do to absolutely ensure that this doesn't happen? Do we need to put this in your contract renewal agreement?
And if you're seeing something that I'm not, I apologize. I see this in the contract renewal agreement that it's our responsibility to do this work. But if you have a different suggestion or a different idea, I'm very open to hearing that.
So what does the contract say about, say, okay, so you've got that it's your responsibility to do it. What happens if you don't fulfill your responsibilities? What does the contract say? Do you get deducted for each day that you don't, you know, that you don't provide adequate toilet paper, or what are?
We don't have that I'm aware of. We don't have that sort of line item detail in the contract. I believe a deficiency would be brought to our attention, and we would resolve that.
So what are our recourses if you don't fulfill these specific items in the contract, like what happened last year?
So that's maybe something that we can look into and speak to. At this point, what we're doing here is extending the agreement. The agreement that we have at this point is on, I would say, Flint's paperwork. So I would need to, I think, maybe familiarize myself with some of the remedies available if there were deficiencies, and I'd be happy to follow up on that, or to follow up with the administration on that.
That would be wonderful. I'd really appreciate it. And this is one of the reasons why I'm concerned about, you know, renewing contracts from year to year, because sometimes we like forget about some of the details, and you know, especially if something like this essential is getting overlooked. And like President McIntosh was saying, we're not here to, or Joyce McNeil was saying, we're not here to beat you up. I'm just trying to, you know, make this run smoothly. I did have another question though. You have, and I apologize, I didn't get a chance to like look at this. This is a lot of information. But on page 5 of 9, or page 7 of 9, there's a darker orange square where it says change light bulbs to 10 feet high. Is that just a printing anomaly? Is it still under CSM maintenance, or is this a different category?
Give me 1 minute. Yeah, it's CSM, so it's in the custodial scope. If you go to page 5 of 9 at the top, you'll see there's things in yellow, or kind of a key to that. So the yellow indicates this is the custodial staff doing certain activities, and the orange indicates that it's CSM maintenance.
Yes,
as I
it was
look
just
at
a different color. It was just a different color orange. Okay, so it is CSM. And then
It
what
is
were
CSM, and
the,
it's our maintenance staff that does that.
okay, and then you have some lines that are grayed out and other lines that are just blank. What's the difference between lines that are grayed out and lines that are blank?
Grayed out is that's excluded at this point, or not part of the scope. And if you could maybe point me to a line that's blank, I'm not.
Let's see. On page 8 of 9, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 columns that are, or lines that are blank.
I am seeing those. That's a good question. Let me follow up on that as well.
Okay, and like on, for example, on page 7 out of 9, there are 2 lines that I can see. I'm having a hard time. I've got trifocals here. It looks like 2 lines that are blank, and then there are 2 lines that are gray. So you're saying the gray ones are just services that we don't require or that aren't provided, and you're going to check on the ones that are just not notated.
Yes,
right?
ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
I got a question, a really quick one, not for Mike though, it's for Ms. Domprey, and it's budget-wise as it relates to this specific piece. Under the major discussion points, I see that it was mentioned that the funds are available in the general fund budget. Going back to the use of the ARPA dollars, I wondered if a service that they're providing would be eligible for us to use those dollars for, again, the service as it relates to the maintenance and cleaning of our buildings.
Yes, it will be, but I can't denote that now because we don't have those funds available to us at this moment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, similarly, Ms. Domprey, would some of the VARTEC services, do you think would be covered with the COVID money?
Yes, they would be able to be covered. Once the money is released to us, we would be able to use it for that.
Okay. Does anyone else have any question for Mr. Mills or for just in general? Okay. Seeing none, the motion to move action 11.17, authorization to extend maintenance and custodial services contract to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please reply yes or no to approve. Danielle Green, absent. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
Carol McIntosh. If you're saying something, you're muted. You still there, President McIntosh?
Yes, it's a yes for me. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Myself, Laura McIntyre, yes. The motion passes by a vote of 6 yes to 1 absent. Please continue, Mrs. Domprey.
I seek a motion and a second to move action item 11.18, authorization to extend school safety advocate services agreement fiscal year 22 to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If nobody else has.
Is that the extension of the safety advocates?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah, I guess I have a question.
Is this Mrs. Wright who's speaking?
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of wondering, has there been some discussion held somewhere regarding not approving the safety advocates agreement?
Yes.
I say that just based on comments earlier in the meeting.
There was a discussion in the sub-finance committee meeting on Monday. not about necessarily not approving safety advocates, but asking for data indicating how effective the performance of Teach Out was. We had a survey that had, I believe, 13 out of 600 respondents, or 350 respondents, that was not very robust. And I asked for more information about Teach Out's, sorry, not VARTEC, Teach Out's performance. Because I hear a lot of statements about what it is they're doing and what they have done, but we're a data-driven district, and I don't see any data. I mean, and the data that I did see was insufficient. So I was requesting for evidence that Teach Out is effective.
May I please speak? We have a representative from Teach Out is on the call. I see that he is on the attendee side, so I don't know if he will be able to speak unless you, his hand is raised right now, Stephen, so you would have to allow him to speak if the board would like to hear from him.
Sure,
yes.
Or she, I apologize.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Stephen?
They're unmuted now. I'm assuming it's Terry Jones.
Yes.
Yes, unmuted. They may speak whenever they're ready.
Okay, hi, I'm Terry Jones. I'm the Vice President of Teach Out Security Solutions. I'm a product of the Flint schools. I attended Cook Elementary and then Longfellow Middle School and then the Flint Academy. When I left the Flint Academy, I went to work for the Flint School District. I was a bus driver for a year and then a custodian for 4 years. The last time I saw Congressman Kildee was on a picket line outside the service center when I was a union official and he was a board member. I have a passion for Flint. I left out my mother has worked for the Flint schools for about 50 years. For a period of time, she reported to Mrs. Wright. She's 82 years old and still working full-time for the Flint schools. She has a passion for it. I love Flint. I love the Flint schools. And I'm really happy that we're doing work for the Flint schools. When Mr. Thomas and Mr. Acheniki and other speakers for the administrative union and then the teachers union spoke, frankly, I was a little choked up, but I was glad I wasn't going to have to talk right then. We just want to do whatever we can for Flint. We've done some incredible things. We had a student assaulted who was unconscious, and one of our safety advocates put himself between her and her attacker and let her attacker hit him while he was protecting her. A couple of years ago, we removed a gentleman with a gun from Flint Southwestern who's mentally ill, and we don't know why he was there, but he was identifying himself as a federal agent, and he was ultimately arrested by the FBI and charged with federal crimes. And as far as I know, last time I looked, and it's been about 1.5 years since I looked, he's mentally ill, and they're not going to take it any further. We're here to serve the Flint Community Schools. If the Flint Community Schools want to do something else than have safety advocates, I'm a subject matter expert in security. I'll help you guys figure it out. We have on staff a subject matter expert in school security who will help you guys figure it out. We'll do whatever we need to do to keep the students in the Flint schools safe. And that's really all I have to say. I'll answer any questions anybody has. We're not the police. We don't have an enforcement orientation. We have a service orientation.
I have a question. Can you hear me pretty good?
I can.
Would you be interested in partnering with some of the community directors that work in the community with a lot of the kids and families that's a trouble? Because that's probably one of the biggest concern. They wants to be a little bit more involved in the handling of their kids and their youth. So would that be something you'd be interested in doing, working with the community leaders?
Absolutely. We work with the
Because
community now. Our president and CEO is on the board of directors at the Boys and Girls Club in Flint. We absolutely will do whatever we can do to serve this community. We started in Flint. We've got 500 employees throughout Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, but Flint is our home, and we'll do anything we can.
yeah, because these young, a lot of them is pastors and young males that working with some of the troubled youth that's in the school, and they would like to be a part of it, and they feel like that they don't have any voice in how patrolling their kids. So I think that that would be a way to reach out and show them, learn from each other because they have a good knowledge of the kids and the community anyway. So and I think that's some of the concerns that you might have heard about the organization, that things have changed now, and then back in the, while it was fine, but things have changed. People's way of thinking has changed, and so they want to be a little bit more involved in who's handling and monitoring their kids. So I think that'll be something I can work with you with and connecting you with the right people that has that interest. I can't validate them, but just sitting down and talking to them, and maybe you guys can partner with somebody down the road.
I will do that in a heartbeat. We're here to serve the community. Flint, I have a passion for Flint. I can't say it any more than that.
Yeah, and I believe you do, but when you got a different generation that's coming up, they see things different, and a lot of the young males, especially over in the north side of town, and I have conversation with them, and they're doing great things, and they want us to move closer to the community in the school district and work with work in the same field that you're doing, but they seem to get their foot in the door. So maybe we can look at some type of partnership or having that conversation where you might have a student that you just don't know him, but Tom or Joe might know this student and can help put the fire out a lot quicker, if that makes sense. But I don't want to tie up the whole night with that. But that is one of my concern, and that's what I do. I talk to the community, and I bring it back and I address it.
It makes complete sense. Mr. Stewart has my contact information. Just reach out to me, and I'm here for you.
Do you have a phone number I can call you on?
Sure, 810-732-4849.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Wright, were you finished with your comments? Does anyone else have any comments?
Mrs. Wright, you're muted.
Talking, but she's on mute. Yes, yeah, I'm satisfied to a degree, but I was around when we didn't have safety advocates, and things changed over the course of my career. So I know the importance of having safety advocates, and as Mrs. McNeil said, times have changed, and I know as a grandparent or an aunt, I would not feel comfortable with my relatives and even friends' children being in schools, or any of Flint schools children being in school without some type of safety advocate in the building, because things have changed just that drastically. But I also want to make sure that when we start talking about having other entities involved with the community, with the safety advocates, that there is a particular protocol and procedure for that, because
when it comes to people in the schools and dealing with kids, we have to follow all the protocols of background checks and all those kinds of things. So I am all for community support and people working with our community school advocates, but we need to make sure all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. In addition to that, we also have to understand that sometimes people that we bring in don't have the same perspective that you do and may want to try to influence how you do your job. So there are so many things involved in that, and I just wanted to make sure that we have a process in place for how to handle that kind of situation we were talking about involving community people with our actual employees in the buildings.
Ms. Wright, I appreciate that. What I'm saying is I will talk to community leaders, pastors,
Okay.
whoever, and I'm not going to turn them loose with our team.
Okay.
I will talk to them, and I will explain how we see things, and I will listen to how they see things. And as long as we're listening to each other, we can make a lot of progress. Will every idea that comes across to me be pushed down to the safety advocates? No. Will I sometimes maybe see the light? Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks. I appreciate that. And you're right. Your mom was a very good employee and best cook I've seen in a while.
That's true.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Any other questions?
Adrian, do you have your hand up?
No, I'm good.
I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
I agree that with Trustee Wright that it's one thing to know the importance of safety advocates and to be able to feel comfortable, but one of the things that I was concerned about was seeing the data that demonstrates that schools are safer with the inclusion of safety advocates. I hear a lot of anecdotal evidence. I hear a lot of talk saying it's safer, and safer, but I'd like to see the evaluations and the data that demonstrates this. I've asked this for all the other contracts, and I would like to also see this for teach out. I mean, it's one thing to take your word for it, but on the other hand, I do have other reports from people who have been talking about, pepper spraying the students between classes, a girl who was dragged down the hallway by her hair, definitions of loitering that were a little harsh, that didn't really constitute like loitering in a criminal way. Locking students out early in the morning during the winter, and where there's an account where the guards actually stood at the locked doors and, I mean, take it for what it's worth. It's made arrogant faces at the students and kind of mocked them for being locked out and being cold and waiting to the absolute last minute to let them in at either was it 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So, I mean, I hear those stories too. And so it concerns me that we need to have a good cultural balance, between what everybody in the school needs, including the student.
Ma'am,
Lord have mercy.
Did you call me this? I just want to say that, which, everybody has their own perspective, but for me, I don't have to know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. I'm still speaking. I'd like to.
I'm sorry. I thought she gave me the floor. I apologize.
No, I'm still speaking. So, Mr. Jones.
Excuse me. Can I ask the question? Ask the question, please. Let's ask the question. This is just on and on. I'm sorry for being rude, but this is getting long, and we got a whole stack of stuff to review.
Well, I would really like to finish, because this is I think this is a very important point. So I understand that it's long, but this is exactly why we didn't want to have all of the contracts coming up at one time to discuss. This is something that is important. Mr. Jones, are you still on?
I am.
And you said you live in the
Number,
city of Flint currently?
No, I do not live in the city of Flint. I live in Swartz Creek. I grew up in
Great.
Flint. I attended
Okay.
Flint schools.
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you, we need to have a understanding of the water crisis and how it's been affecting our students. And so I welcome the opportunity to speak with you at a later time about the procedures that you have to mitigate and de-escalate crises or conflicts in the school. So it's encouraging to me that you're talking about service orientation as opposed to. I'm not finished, Carol. Excuse me, please. If you just
talk all night now, come on.
Carol, excuse me, you're out of order. I'm the chairing this committee part. I'm almost done. If you just please bear with me. This is
Robert's rules of order say when I say ask the question, we're supposed to get the vote. That's the Robert's rules of order, Laura.
But I'm not finished with the floor. So
okay, well, you don't have the floor just all night to talk about forever, but go ahead, but please be considerate of other people.
I am trying to. If you just let me finish, I could get done quickly. So I would like to, as I was saying, Mr. Jones, if I could, speak to you at another time about your ideas about taking into consideration the water crisis and the effect of the neurological toxins on our students and restorative justice practices. I believe Kelly Fields mentioned things about mindfulness and restorative justice practices and integrating, some of our community
Wait a minute, what are we talking
directors,
about?
our community directors. Carol, you threw me off, so I'm almost done. I'm just wrapping up right now. So that's all I wanted to say. And now I am finished. So if you had just given me a couple of seconds, it would have been much shorter. Now, Carol, do you have a question?
No, ask the question means vote on the issue.
Okay, so seeing no further discussion, the motion to move action item 11.18 to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please reply yes or no to approve. Danielle Green, absent. Joyce McNeil. Joyce, you're on mute.
Yes.
Yes. Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
Diana, I think you're on mute. Okay.
Yes.
And myself, Laura McIntyre, no. So the motion passes by a vote of 5 yes to 1 no and 1 absent. Thank you, Mrs. Dumpre. Seeing no further action, I declare the Finance and Operations Committee of the whole meeting adjourned. I now turn the floor over to President McIntosh for the Board Committee of the whole portion of the agenda. The time of adjournment is 9:30 p.m.
I seek your approval to move action item 21.30, Flint Board of Education schedule of regular board meetings 2021 to the regular meeting on June 16, 2021 for adoption.
So move.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Board members, the dates listed are for the second and third Wednesdays of each month for board calls and regular meetings. Although the location is listed as the web address, we can all agree that, I hope we can all agree that we will resume in-person board meetings as soon as the local, state, and emergency resolution is lifted. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to move action item 21.30 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Ms. Green is absent. Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
And myself, it's a yes for me. The motion passes 6 yes, 1 absent vote, which makes a no, Ms. Green. The motion passes though, however. I seek your approval to move action item 21.30, authorization to purchase Flint, the fiscal school year 2020 MASB membership training and board book premier services to the regular meeting on June 16th for adoption.
So move.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to move item 21.30 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Danielle Green is absent. Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
And myself, Carol McIntosh. Motion passes 6 yes, 1 absent. At this time, I'd like to call upon Superintendent Stewart to present.
I seek your approval to move action item 21.32, authorization to purchase FY22 MASA membership and attend conferences to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
So move.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to move action item 21.32 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
And myself, Carol McIntosh, yes. The motion passes 6 yes, 1 absent. Please continue, Superintendent Stewart.
I seek your approval to move action item 21.33, authorization to extend public relations services contract agreement to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
From the information, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Who is the who is, we're talking about? I can't find my paper. I done got so confused here. Hey, we're talking about that Lambert.
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Isn't that contract due expired?
It expires June 30th, and we're asking for a 6-month extension.
Oh no. I don't know. I think no. I think we should. I don't support this right now.
Okay. It hadn't been moved and properly seconded.
All right.
That's go ahead. Who did somebody move it?
I thought I heard something. Okay, go ahead.
We're in the discussion part, I thought.
I thought it properly seconded and then discuss it.
Yeah.
Nope, it hasn't been properly moved and seconded yet.
I know that. Go ahead, Adrian.
But Ms. Wright, are we discussing it? I thought we was in discussion. Are we in
Hold
discussion?
I thought so too.
Oh,
We're
okay.
not.
I
We
don't
didn't.
know.
We go ahead, Adrian.
So move.
Second.
Second. Okay, yeah, thank you, Ms. Pierre. It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
I did have a question. Like, I appreciated the insight that they put within our packet in terms of their accomplishment. I guess this was so far this year, but I was wondering, Superintendent, if there was more information around an overall strategy as it relates to our brand as a district. I feel like what I saw in the packet, while it was great, it was a lot more just execution in terms of what has been accomplished, but as it relates to our overall brand and efforts that they're taking to improve that within community, I wonder, is there any more insight that could potentially be given to us as a board to just understand strategy around how they continue to seek to improve our brand and community?
Absolutely,
And
Board Member. Go ahead, Board President. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to respond to him. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead. I'll wait.
That is something that we continue to work on with Lambert. But we can definitely, if so, you would like for Lambert to come back and present to the board to share more of what it is that they plan to do around their intentional strategic plan for the branding for the district, we definitely can set that presentation up for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw in here about a strategic, something as it pertains to the strategic plan. Are they printing flyers or documentation? How do they tie in with the strategic plan?
Board President, can you tell me where you're looking? I just want to, do you recall where it was?
And it might not even be them because I saw it earlier, but I'm pretty sure it was Lambert. And it says something about strategic planning and promotions for the public and the community. And so I might have my wrong company if you're not familiar with that.
So I do know what they have done thus far in regards to the strategic plan is helping to get information out to the community and our parents about our listening sessions that we had in April in regards to the strategic plan. They help with those efforts by putting stuff on social media. So that, and I'm not sure if that's what you were speaking of as far as
it wasn't
the strategic plan.
And that's probably what it is. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Ms. Stewart. Go ahead.
Oh, you're okay.
Okay. Well, that's all I have. Is there anybody else? Okay, seeing none, the motion to move
No,
action.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Are they responsible for our website? Is this for the content on our website?
They are not totally responsible for our website. They do put some things on our website, but currently Monica does the work with our website. We are in the process of doing a complete overhaul of our website, and Lambert is helping us to do that. It was either a couple months ago that the board approved that work with Lambert, and those funds to do the overhaul of the website is coming through a grant. And so they are currently working on that. Mr. Jones has been working with Lambert with the overhaul of our website, and he can speak more to where we are and again provide updates of that work. So I'll defer to Mr. Jones for that.
Okay.
I'm just kind of confused about what Lambert does exactly.
So am I.
Okay, Ms. Stewart, can you give them some insight and
Yes.
behind, or
Yeah.
either Ms. Gray to give them a description of what Lambert actually does for us, and then you can give me a little more insight on what they do as it pertains to our strategic plan. Is there any further questions, Ms. Wright?
Yeah, I just want to suggest that we as a board grant the request for the 6-month extension while looking forward to them preparing more information and sharing with us not only what they do, but how they can assist us with our public relations moving forward. And in particular, I'd like to see that agreement extended as requested because of the work they're doing with the website as well.
Okay, and to chime in on what Ms. Wright just said, though, I think I heard somebody from the administration say Monica does the website. Monica responsible for a lot. Maybe that's why we get our packets late. Monica might need some help too. But okay, I'm sorry. Anybody else have any discussion?
But that was in regard to Mrs. Stewart saying that the board approved a few months back some work that Lambert would be doing with the website, which, as you say, may relieve Monica of that responsibility.
I understand. I understood what you were saying.
Okay.
I just didn't. Go ahead. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to say again, this is we've requested this information before, so we would have more time. I'm really not in agreement with just renewing these contracts 6 months to a year, just over and over again. We've requested this information, it hasn't been forthcoming, and I don't see any evidence of what Lambert is doing and how effective it is, especially given that what we're paying him $10,000 a month. Is that correct? For our public relations? I mean, what, can't we just hire somebody to for that salary to do a better job? I'm not in agreement with this.
Okay, well, we're gonna vote on it. You can vote it down, Ms. Laura. Any further discussion, Ms. Laura?
No, I'm sorry, I'm
think
just
Oh, okay. Your camera freezing up, Ms. Laura. Are there any further discussions? Seeing there is none, the motion to move action item. Were you done, Ms. Laura? Or are you still froze?
Am I still frozen? I was done.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure. Item number 21.33 to the, seeing there is no further discussion, the motion to move action item number 21.33 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce Ellis McNeil. Dr. Joyce? I think she's gone. Laura McIntyre.
No.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Miss Wright.
Yes.
Hey,
Am
I'm back on. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
What is, yes, a yes or no for you, Ms. McNeil?
No.
Okay, and I'm going to vote yes, provided that we get the details that we requested before we approve it. I want the details, or I will be naying it at the board meeting, at the count. So it'll be a yes for me to move forward.
At the regular board meeting next week, right, President?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So,
Thank you so much.
The information that you're seeking is how are they supporting the strategic plan? And then we want them to come and do a presentation about how they are working to support the school district and our branding.
That's
yes.
what I want, yeah.
Okay, got it.
And they probably should review what they're doing with the website as well.
Got it.
Okay, so right in the middle of a vote, but so I think we had 2 no's and 4 yeses to move it forward to next week's meeting.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 4-2. Okay, next, I seek your approval to move action item 21.34, authorization of fiscal year 2020 legal services to the regular meeting on June 16th for adoption. What company is this? Who is this? Is this everybody? Is this the one I saw for, but I'm sorry, because I haven't been turning pages. Is this for Butzel and everybody? MASB, is that what? Let me see where we at. Action item 2134. Yes, okay, yes it is. I seek your approval to move action item 21.34, authorization for fiscal year 2020 legal services to the regular meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I guess I have a concern about us moving forward with legal services when there has been no discussion on the board regarding our current legal services. And I just have an issue with how are we continuing? I think this is maybe the third action item that has been brought to the board regarding hiring of legal services with no mention of what is going on with our current legal services. So I would just like some clarity over what's going on with, because I don't know that have what is going on with the board attorney that we currently have.
And who do we currently have? We have
The Williams firm has been the board attorney for quite some time. So I don't understand how all of my concern is, how does that relationship fit in with all of these other new board attorney or with these other attorney firms that we seem to be contracting with.
Do we have a contract with Williams firm right now?
I assume that we do, because he's been the board attorney. I mean, if we don't, I'm not sure. I assume that we adopted or approved him for the remainder of this year, which I don't have an issue with what the board decides to do as a majority, but I'd like us to finish one relationship before we start a new relationship. And I have not been a part of any discussions regarding even us being dissatisfied with the Williams firm to the point that we would be bringing forth contract with new attorneys. I would just like to have some clarity on how is all of this happening, because I haven't been a part of any conversations about the need for new attorney relationships for the board.
Well, I don't know about a new attorney relationship. I didn't think we had a contract with the Williams firm. So I don't know what new attorney relationships you would be speaking
Well, I guess,
of.
so the main thing is though, but don't we have to have a discussion about the hiring of new attorneys? And we can say we don't know that we have a contract, but the Williams firm has been doing work for the board up until a month ago. He was part of probably a closed session that we had. So how did all of a sudden now we need to hire new people? So whether that's part of a formal agreement or not, he's been acting as the board attorney for the majority of this year.
We voted for MASB, if that's what you're speaking of, and he does not have a contract with this district at this time, but we have been receiving a bill for him every month between $20,000 and $30,000. So Ms. Laura has been questioning and asking for that information as billable hours. I don't know if she's received it yet, but until we find out what we're being billed for, I would like to think, and I ain't nobody, well, if he ain't got no contract, I don't know how we obligated, but I think we need to have a discussion about it. And if you don't have a contract,
and that is simply all I'm saying.
Nobody's
is that. That's all I'm saying, Mrs. McIntosh, is that we have not had any discussions. Not only have we not had any discussions about relieving about not using Kindle, we haven't had discussions about these new people that are coming on board. So it's like, you know, where's all this?
Discussed it and voted on it.
What meetings?
We
Where's
had,
all this happening?
my understanding, we voted for the new person to come in.
Yeah.
We voted for her, and I don't know if you guys wasn't there, but I think we took a vote for her, for this particular attorney. And then in my opinion, this is me speaking, I was uncomfortable with getting good, true representation because of conflict of interest. You can't serve two masters in one place. If you're attorney from MOD, you're attorney for FIA, and then and he's attorney for the board. In that last closed door meeting, in my opinion, he didn't represent the board. He represented the opposite of the board. And so I don't know if that might have created, I don't know, but it was, I just think that it's okay to change. Not assume that when we voted, everybody was in agreement. I voted for a change, and I don't know what other people reason for voting, but it just time for a change and get some good representation of why we keep going so far behind. So maybe we didn't have that discussion. I don't know, but we took a vote. And we moved it forward, and we've been running back and forth to MSB, and we got this information. So that's how I got in, you know, that I think it was. But I don't know. I think we had that opportunity when we was making that decision to vote, and I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to voice their concern, but it was voted. So I don't know.
I guess
I don't know who would lead that conversation.
And I guess, you know, I understand. I was there when the vote was taken to hire the other person. My question is not about the vote because, you know, the majority rules. My concern is we need to officially sever the relationship because we're just hiring other people and we haven't severed officially. There's been no vote to sever the relationship with the Williams firm. That's my only question. I'm okay with majority rule because majority does rule, but I think that as a board, we need to handle things properly. And there has been no discussion, no evaluation of the Williams firm, nothing. We just start hiring people.
Well, who's supposed to have done the evaluation?
We did not.
I was looking through the bylaws. Who's supposed to have done the evaluation? And I think it said it should have been done when April or May, if there was an evaluation to be done. And we've been trying to find our previous evaluation, and we had not even been able to get a previous evaluation on this particular person. So, and your question and concern is correct, but no one brought it to my attention, this board, about even doing the evaluation, have done the evaluation. I just found it in the bylaw just the other day because I was just looking for something.
My only concern is that we do it properly. So, you know.
The evaluation is supposed to be held in June.
Your bylaw says May, I believe. Let's check.
Well, okay, May or June, whichever, but that's when the evaluation is supposed to be held. And to my understanding, this board, the board does the evaluation. And then, to my understanding, the board did do a contract from last year, which expires in June. And normally, if there's some, what am I trying to say? If you're not satisfied, normally when you're not satisfied, we could have had a meeting and told the person what our concerns were and our problems were. But I do agree with Mrs. Wright. We have totally jumped over everything that's supposed to happen. And I mean, I don't care who the attorney is. It's just that let's do our process right, because you can leave yourself wide open for some type of problems if you don't. And that's all I have to say about that.
So the
And that's really
contract,
all,
the
and that's
contract,
all I'm saying as well.
okay, contract end in June, so we have to see. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. That's
And
all.
I didn't think we had a contract with them. I would like to see it because I think I've asked about it. But I'm going to ask again. If we have a contract with the Williams firm, I would like to see it. Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion?
Yeah, and I would also like to see, and I've been requesting since I've gotten on the board, I would really like to see the breakdown of what the Williams firm is charging for and how that compares to earlier years and to other attorney services. I'm really concerned with the amounts that are being charged per month. I thought that we weren't supposed to go over a certain amount, and it seems to me, I haven't been able to get a straight answer, that we've far exceeded what our budget is for attorney fees. And I understand that I was just elected in November and came on in January, so some of these decisions were made before this period, but as the treasurer, I need to see these invoices. You know, I don't feel comfortable signing checks of this amount or authorizing these things without, you know, I know that I've seen some of the breakdown, but it's not sufficient. And I would really like, at this point, I'm even considering asking for a forensic audit, because I'm very concerned about some of the payments that are being made to particular vendors. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong going on, but I don't have the information that I need to do due diligence as a treasurer of this board. And it was my understanding that that Mr. Williams no longer, we had a contract, the contract is up, we're under no obligation. We have contracts with different people. It wasn't a matter of renewing for a particular amount of time. He'd already exceeded the cap, and we already had a contract with MASB as far as I knew. So I'm a little confused about where this talk about lack of discussion is, because I thought we had a lot of discussion and consideration of these issues. And what we don't have is the financial information and the documents that I've requested.
Okay. Is there any other discussion or any further questions?
Excuse me, this is Mrs. Dunpray. May I please speak?
Go ahead.
So I just want to state that we had some communication just recently, Treasurer McIntyre, about providing this information to you. So I just want that to be out there, that we just had some dialogue just today about this. And so once we are dished out, you will start to receive the information.
Okay. We're on action item 21.34. I don't even know if it had been properly moved and seconded. I think it have, because we're on discussion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing there is none, the motion to move action item 21.34 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Danielle Green is not here. Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Vera Perry.
No.
Adrian Walker.
No.
Oh, excuse me. Diana Wright.
No.
I'm so thrown off right now. And myself, it is a no for me, because I don't even really know what this is. So no. So the motion fails. What is this, first of all? Hold on before I move on. What is this? I have no idea. I'm so much has went on and so much conversation. What is this for? What 20? Let me look at my packet. 20, we're on what, 21.30. Let me see.
President McIntosh, this is authorization for the legal services for fiscal year 22.
What page is that on?
Oh, yeah.
100.
Services. I got, yeah, I'm on the wrong. Okay, legal services. Okay, and this is Butzel and everybody. I vote yes. Yes. And what did we, okay, I'm sorry because I messed up the vote.
I think we got
Myself is yes. Ms. Wright, you said no?
Correct.
Ms. Wright, you said no, right?
Yes.
Mr. Walker, you said no, right?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Perry, you said
No.
okay. And Joyce Ellis McNeil, you said yes.
I'm trying to. I'm gonna see what this
And
actually is. Y'all got me
and
confused.
I know I'm gonna say yes for legal services because, like I said, I'm looking at the packet. I gotta go back here now and see who all it is. And we done talked so long. Order
Okay.
education teacher.
Well, yes. I just got to look through this on the day of. Go ahead and do yes.
And Flint School District utilizes the service. Oh, so this is for MASB, Troon Law Firm, Butzel Long, and Press, Wardle PC. Okay.
Yeah, that's a yes for me.
I'm voting yes. I'm voting yes. I'm not gonna vote against all our legal. Yes. So what do we have? A 3?
You have a 3-3 tie and it fails.
Yep. So it automatically fails. Okay. The motion fails 3-3. Next, we're going to, let me see. The motion fails 3-3. Yes. The next item we have is I seek your approval to move action item 21.35 to the regular meeting on June 2nd for adoption.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, there is. Sorry, Ms. Wright. Go ahead.
No, I was only going to say that I can't find that in my packet. That's all I want to say. If someone can tell me what, because I looked for it earlier and I see the title, but I can't find the document.
It's for governmental liaison services.
Right. So what? There's no document regarding that in my packet. It says page. As a matter of fact, there's not even a page number next to it.
That's my fault, Mrs. Wright. When the board book sunk, it did not include the attachments. I can email them to you right now.
Okay, would you do that? Because I would like to see it. Thank you. I'll look at it on my phone.
I don't have a copy. I don't think I have that.
Okay, so nobody has it.
I have it.
I got it.
What page is yours, Adrian?
I had to get an email because it wasn't in my document.
102.
Hold on, I got my paper all out of order. Could be in here. It's just one page though, right?
It's one page, and then it's the retainer agreement. So it goes from page 102 through 105.
See, I don't have any.
Okay.
Okay. So did we move? Where we at?
Yeah, we're in discussion, and Adrian has the floor. Then I would like to go after Adrian.
Yeah, I just have a quick point that I wanted to point out. So I wasn't around when the lobbying piece came into effect. I think lobbying is definitely important, but with that being said, I can't help but to wonder if this is nice to have versus a need to have. As we look at the scope of work that we're asking a lobbyist to help us with, and are we clear on what the deliverables are that we're expecting of them? And then again, B, is this something that relates to potentially just special projects, or is it something that requires an annual contract? So without, the due diligence on our end in terms of scope of work and that leading to whether or not this is an annual or just special projects wise, I just think that there's more questions that have to be answered as we're talking about being good stewards of our funds before we enter into an agreement like this. And again, I definitely think it's important, but again, only important if we feel that this is something that we need. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Perry.
Isn't this the position that Burton Brown has? And if so, well, when did we get rid of Burton Brown? I never remembered hearing us getting rid of him, and now we're talking about hiring someone else. So could someone fill me in, please?
Board President, can I speak?
Go ahead.
So Burton Brown is no longer an independent person. He is now with a company, and the company that he is now with is called Kelly Cawthorn. That is now the company that he is with now.
Okay, so is this talking about him then, correct?
Yes, ma'am. If you look on, I don't know if you have your packet, but if you look on page 104, his name is mentioned under section 8.
Okay. I've got it. When I saw Kelly Cawthorn, I thought that was a person. That's the way I read it. I didn't realize that was a company. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Wright.
Yes. Burton is a nice guy, but I agree with Adrian that based on what's going on now, the kinds of things that we would ask him to do and to support on our behalf, we really don't need at this time. So I think that when a situation arises or when things change, that we might be able to go back and contract with him through him or whatever other lobbyists we may need. But at this time, I really don't think we need the services of a lobbyist.
Okay, go ahead, Walker.
I wanted to ask Ms. Stewart, because again, that's just my perspective, but from the administration side of things, are you all still feeling like lobbying services is needed for the work that you all are doing at the federal, state, and local level?
So Burton Brown does a lot in Kiana Murphy's shop with the Office of State and Federal Programs. Kiana, are you on? Yes, she's on. Kiana, can you unmute yourself? Okay, thank you. Can you unmute yourself and kind of speak more to Board Member Walker's question, please?
Yes, I think your point is well made in regards to us giving the lobbyists particular projects. And I think that's going to leverage the service. But I can give some specific examples from a grants perspective when we were looking for opportunities to write grants. I'll say 2 years ago, we wrote a safety grant to the Michigan State Police that required a matching portion for districts to apply. And so I reached out to Burton and said we wanted to take advantage of this opportunity, but we needed $108,000 as a matching in order to pursue the safety grant. And he was able to secure those funds for us. And so that is one example of even with the changes in the
ESSER funds, and if we want to have larger conversations about our infrastructure moving forward as regarding building schools and renovations, that's going to take some legislative support in order for that to happen. So if that's within the scope of the board's work, that's definitely conversations that he and I have had in regards to, you know, how do we get infrastructure projects move forward. Some of the work that was done with the boiler systems came by way of legislative grants that were made on our behalf. So those are some of the projects that we've been able to successfully accomplish and gain financial support. We currently receive 2 grants that are legislative, the 11S dollars that came out of the Flint water crisis. That's lobbying that we need to continue to lift, because we don't want individuals to forget about the students that we serve in Flint that were impacted by the water crisis. So those are ongoing conversations that I have with Bert every cycle to make sure that those earmarked grants for Flint stay there, and that we're able to continue to service students in those capacities. So I do bug him when we have issues that arise. I reach out to him and try to strategize about opportunities, even as we broached some conversations with the city of Flint about some opportunities to partner, or to see as they're receiving ESSER dollars into the city, what does that look like for us in the schools, and how do we collaborate between the city and the schools, possibly with demolition and things of that nature. So oftentimes he's able to help us facilitate some of those conversations. But his work is going to be driven a lot by what our priorities are. And so, you know, he is always willing to do the work and work very hard. And when I give him problems, he'll find some solutions for it. So that's just my 2 cents on my work with him.
I appreciate that insight. That helps me out a lot.
That does shed a different perspective on my perspective.
And I would like to talk, if it's okay, are you done? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Oh, when we start talking about lobbyists, and we got all different types of lobbies, you look at what that lobbyists bring to that district financially, and we're in a transition where we at. And I still have to go back and say, right now, if we're gonna look at our lobbyists, we got to probably look at maybe doing RFP, looking at other lobbyists out there, because we have some powerful lobbyists that wants to work with Flint. And we're talking about in the school district doing renovation, property value, all of that plays a lot of part. And I think right now that I take your first comment, Mr. Walker, that this is not a necessity right now until we figure out what direction we actually going. Maybe some people know where we're going, but for sure we don't know exactly where we're going. We're gonna need a lobbyist, not somebody just a good guy, a good person. We need somebody that knows how to really work with legislation, and we might have to just go out there and do a comparison such and see what this person has done for this district. And so sometimes we have to kind of move a little different, and it's okay to change. But I kind of agree with Mr. Walker on the first his first opinion, and my answer would be probably no, until we can maybe later on.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, the motion to move action item 21.35 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no for approval. Joyce McNeil. Joyce McNeil.
Hi, okay, we're just moving it. Okay, yes.
Danielle Green is not here. Laura McIntyre.
No.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes, after some clarification from Ms. Murphy, my vote is yes.
And myself, no. The yes, have it 4-2. I seek your approval to move action item 21.36, approval of third addendum to school bus transportation services agreement to the regular meeting on June 21st, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing there is none, the motion to move action item 21.36 to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no for approval. Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Joyce McNeil.
Yes.
Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Okay, Laura. Vera Perry.
Yes.
Adrian Walker.
Yes.
Diana Wright.
Yes.
And myself, Carol McIntosh, yes. Okay, the motion passes 6 yeses and 1 absentee. At this time, I will call the academic committee. What did I do with that paper? The academic committee to order. Just 1 second. At this time, we will call the academic committee. Excuse me, Mo. Do I have a script for the academic committee? I have. Did you give me that? Because Danielle was going to be absent.
Call upon
And
Assistant Superintendent.
yeah, Assistant Superintendent Kevlin Jones for the academic portion of the meeting.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
I seek your approval to move action item 25.15, authorization to extend Head Start lease agreement with GISD to the regular board meeting on June 16, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Support.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why are we leasing our Head Start program to GISD? Why isn't it something that is within our own jurisdiction or autonomy? What happened? What made that change or that shift? And what steps are being done to bring it back to our district?
So I don't know the historical data on that, but I do know that one of the reasons why we're leasing their program is so that those scholars can matriculate into our district. Having them have those classes in our buildings is allowing us to have a better chance to have those scholars in our pre-K program going to our kindergarten program.
Okay, that wasn't I guess my question. I would really like some of the information about why we don't have the Head Start program. I mean, I understand,
Laura,
the situation that I'm requesting information. That's all. I just would like that, please.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have one
Did we
thing.
make a motion? Go ahead.
are we making sure that we have our staff there when it's time for our students, for the students to leave Head Start, that we have our staff there to sign the kids up to come into Flint schools? Because the ISD for a while was taking the kids, they were telling the parents, this is historical, they were telling the parents not to come into Flint schools, to go somewhere else. So do we have people there when it's time for kindergartners to get enrolled so they can have another choice?
I think our early childhood director is on, Miss Latasha Wilson. Can we give her access to speak?
I've unmuted her on my end.
Ms. Wilson? Ms. Wilson, are you there?
And I ain't gonna be here either.
Okay, so I can get more information from Ms. Wilson and get back with you on that.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing there is none, the motion to move action item 25.15 to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil,
Yes.
Laura McIntyre,
No.
Vera Perry,
Yes.
Adrian Walker,
Yes.
Diana Wright,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion passes 5-1. Please continue, Charles.
I seek your approval to move action item 25.16, authorization to purchase approved items from amended section 35A, additional instructional time carryover grant, to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
Support.
So moved. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any? Oh, I can't. I'm chairing. I can't second it. I'm sorry. Can I get somebody else to second? I don't think I can. Okay. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to move action 25.16 to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil,
Yes.
Laura McIntyre,
Yes.
Vera Perry,
Yes.
Adrian Walker,
Yes.
Diana Wright,
Yes.
myself, Carol McIntosh, yes. Please continue, Mr. Jones.
I seek your approval to move action item 25.17, authorization to purchase approved items from the 21H Partnership Districts Carryover Grant, to the regular board meeting on June 16th, 2021 for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing there is none, as I call your name, please say yes or no to approve. Joyce McNeil,
Yes.
Laura McIntyre,
Yes.
Vera Perry,
Yes.
Adrian Walker,
Yes.
Diana Wright, Diana Wright,
Yes.
Myself, it's a yes for me. Okay, 6 yes and 1 absent. The vote passes. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Board members, in your packet is an informational report, 26.12, board certified behavior analysis, BCBA training. Do any board members have any questions for Ms. Melinda Carroll, Director of Learning Support Services, about this information? Okay, there are no questions about that information. Okay, before we adjourn, do any board members have any comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Okay, Board President, I am requesting that the latest draft, which I think is draft 8 of the MOU from the Mott Foundation, which is also described as the Flint Education Continuum, which intends to develop a partnership collaborative designed to support the district's strategic plan by improving support for teaching and learning environments in the form of new and renovated schools be placed on the next board meeting agenda. And I'm also requesting that include hearing from all of the partners that are mentioned in the MOU. I'm also requesting that after hearing from those partners, including the Mott Foundation, and after an opportunity for board discussion has taken place, that it is added as an action item to be placed on the agenda that will determine how the board plans to move forward or not as it relates to the MOU. I'm asking my fellow board members for full support with this request, and also that my request be included in its entirety in the board minutes.
If I can just chime in, I have, no issue with that coming to the full board, so we can get insight into what's being proposed and, taking action one way or another. I know I personally, have heard a lot of conversation in the community about it. So having the opportunity to come before the full board, I think would be a great idea. And again, hopefully we'll have a chance to weigh in, ask the necessary questions, and make a decision one way or another. So I'll just add that piece in.
Is that a motion?
Oh, it's not a motion, it's a request.
So are we voting on your request? I mean, what are we supposed to do with
we just added to the agenda. I mean, I'm not aware that we need to vote on that. I mean, can board members ask that things be put on the agenda without having to vote on them?
Well, I don't know. I tried to put some on the agenda and I got caught stealing and everything else. And we've been asking them to come before the board a long time, but I don't have a problem with it. But I was just asking, is it a motion or what?
Well, it's a request.
If it's a request, can I make a request too that I agree with Trustee Walker that this would be a great idea to bring it forward so that we can have discussion about it and have information presented. But why do we need to make a decision the very same night? I mean, we've been asking for information about this MOU for a while, so I would like some time in between the presentation and the discussion to be able to make a decision.
My intent was not to say that those things happen on the same night, so I apologize if that was how that sounded. But shortly after, I do think we need to make a decision, but not necessarily the same night, no.
But I thought they were saying there was not a MOU. Now we're saying that is a MOU. Is that MOU to you guys a strategic plan you've been working on? Is that what we're saying, your MOU and your strategic plan going together now?
I'm not clear on the question.
Well, I'm not clear in it. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, and I would like to see the whole strategic plan in its entirety and look it over and smoke it over and make a decision. So if we're not voting on it, and I don't know if you're requesting it to us, I would like to look at it and not be rushed.
Yeah, we don't even have
And you said we don't vote on it, so
I'm not, I,
I
I
don't even know
think
what
that
to
my
do with that.
request is getting confused with something else. I'm only asking that we look at the MOU, and I did mention in my request that I think that the intent of the MOU was to support the strategic plan, which I know I have my copy of it. I picked up from downtown the other day, the strategic plan. So, but this is about us really looking at the MOU, hearing from the other partners who are also potential participants in this process, and then the board coming up or making a decision. And I'm not saying that we need to wait a whole nother month, but at least have some time to talk to the different partners, most of which are already partners of the district, and make a decision as to whether or not we support this. Because it has been sort of dragging along, and I think it's time we make, hear from those involved and decide how the board will proceed with this, or if they will proceed with it.
Oh, I don't
How's it
have a
been
problem
dragging
with
along?
hearing.
We haven't been allowed to talk about it or bring it up. I'm just confused. So I welcome the opportunity to discuss it, but will we also be extending the same courtesy to our other partners who have made similar requests to the district? I'm thinking of one particular organization in particular that's made numerous requests. If we're going to extend this courtesy for this unofficial, unbinding, non-binding MOU, are we going to, it doesn't seem fair to the other partners who've made similar requests.
And it
I'm
doesn't seem
making this request regarding this MOU. I don't know about other partners and their requests. I have no clue.
okay. Well, who is the request to? Because request denied. If it,
I'm requesting that we put this on our meeting agenda.
okay, well, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But I'm not willing to vote on it because I want to smoke it over. I want to look at it good.
Right, and I'm not asking that. Like I said, if it sounded like I'm asking you to hear it tonight and vote tonight, that's not that was not my intention. But I do
don't
think
want to vote
that.
next week either. I don't want to
Pardon
vote on
me?
it next week. I said, and I don't want to vote on it next week because we haven't discussed it as a board. We haven't had the chance to get together as a board and discuss it.
Mrs. McIntosh, this is exactly what I'm asking, is that we put it on the agenda and have discussions about it. And I will email you, because I actually wrote what I wanted to ask down so that I'd be clear, and so I will send you what I said, which includes saying that we have the opportunity to have a discussion about it. That we read it, we hear from those who are involved, and that we have an opportunity to have a discussion,
Yes.
and then later
Yes.
on to make a decision as to how we will move forward.
Yes, that sounds good. And I'd also like to make the same request that my lobbyists be allowed to come before us, since we still talking lobbyists. That the lobbyists that I asked about back in January and February and was crucified about be allowed to come before this board to just be heard, just so we can have a discussion, the same as everybody else did. Let's support everybody's ideas on survival. Oh, I'm fine with that. Let's
the MAID Institute also to be allowed to have a presentation as well, because they've been sending several emails with their proposals. So I would really like the MAID Institute to be able to give their presentation to the board.
Well,
so this is what I'm thinking at the board. I think we need to have some discussions, set this up. I don't think we need to rush anything, and that includes for Mott, because I've been requesting that he comes before this board. He could have been got on the agenda like everybody else. Let's put it together where all of them can come before us and discuss it.
Mhm. Well, can we not do them
Everybody.
all on the same night? That would be my request, so we don't have to be at the board meeting all night. So,
No, we need to get this over
Okay.
with. I have a life.
right.
We need to get this over with. Just put them all on there because we've been waiting all this time. And
Yep.
so let them wait like we had to wait. We've been waiting all this time. Let's get this over with. We have other things to do. Just do it
Well,
all at one time and get it over with. It ain't gonna take that long.
so my request is that we do the MOU in one night, and because my request included all of the other partners as well, so that would lead to a very extensive meeting now. And so my suggestion would be that we do this on one night and then however you want to do the others. But my request is only for this to start with, and then we can proceed with all of your other groups.
No, I suggest that we start with the other groups that were asking to be heard prior before Mott, and then let Mott get behind them, because we've been waiting to hear from them. I've asked Mr. Ridgway White to come before us. He said he would. He opted not to do that. Now all of a sudden tonight he wants to come next week. Now, well, my guy, I asked that he come back.
Hold on. Mr. Ridgway doesn't have anything to do with this. This is Diana Wright speaking.
I understand.
This is Diana Wright speaking.
And this is Carol McIntosh speaking, and I'm telling you why my opinion is what it is. Because when I spoke to him and requested him to come before the board, that was weeks ago, and he hasn't made a move, and now here you come, wanting to jumping right in next week when we've been asking for other people, and I've been begging for my little guy to come, and it's been a problem. So let's make it decent and in order. Those who have asked to come before the board, let's get them here, but let's not give any privileges to anybody. Let's let the rules and the regulations be for everybody and work the same way for everybody.
So we could have the lobbyists that Carol has suggested come first, and then we could have the MAID Institute, and then we could have the MOU with the select community partners, if we want to do it under.
That sounds good to me. So at this time, if there's no more discussion, anybody got anything else to say? The time is 10:38 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.